Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Market Open. We are here today, Thursday, February 13th. And we've got a market to cover. And we had some results last night on a company that I've been covering for a long time. And those results were pretty exceptional. So we got a lot to talk about with that company as well, which is Robinhood. We also have PPI data that came out, and I don't think the market cares that much about it. It was a bit hotter than expected, which is not the best thing. And that makes sense because CPI was hotter than expected as well. But it looks like the market doesn't care. And quite frankly, I've got some stuff to say about CPI yesterday because the initial reaction was like, oh, this is not good. But as you dive deeper into it, which I did last night, it's like, well, does it really matter that much if the majority of the reason CPI went up is shelter? And we'll talk about that a little bit more. But PPI, as we get into it real quick, is 0.4% month over month. Expectations were 0.3%. So, I mean, again, I guess the market has to ask themselves, are they really going to sell off their equities because of that 0.1% increase? And is it good? No, but is it the full story on the broader market? Probably not as well. And right now, I think the market's just having a lot more resilience against some of these PPI, CPI inflation data points in regards to how they think about overall stocks and if they're cheap or not at these levels. So yeah, PPI, not that big of a deal. I mean, it would be a bigger deal if the market actually cared, but as of now, the market's showing that they really just don't care about PPI or CPI or any type of inflation metric if earnings growth is good. And earnings growth is pretty good across the board. One of the companies that earnings growth is really good for is indeed Robinhood, which we will be talking about today. And yeah, let's get into it. Let's get into it and discuss what happened. Good morning to everybody. Thank you for being here. Trade Desk did take a little bit of a haircut. We'll talk about Trade Desk and some of the other earnings that didn't go as well. ER, what's up? Good morning. For real. Ali, I'm beneficial. Matthias, Andy, good morning, good morning, good morning. Greg, Ethan, Brett. We also have the meetup today in the Bay Area. So we'll be talking, or I'll be talking to you guys in person today in the Bay Area. So excited to see everyone who shows up. And that'll be fun a little bit later in the day. Jasmine, good morning. Rob, Samir, Mitch, Raj, Cactus, Brian, Derek Wall in the chat. Mr. Derek, good morning to you. Thanks for being here. By the way, guys, Derek's birthday was yesterday. So I called him and said happy birthday. But Mr. Derek Wall, he is celebrating another year of life. And he is definitely living that year of life because he is going after it in terms of his ambitions to build his newest company, which I'm a proud investor in. So shout out to Mr. Derek, very, very good friend of mine. I mean, honestly, turning into one of my best friends. And happy birthday to you, Mr. Derek. You got all the happy birthdays in the chat. I love you guys. That's awesome. That is super awesome. Happy birthday, Derek. We love you. We absolutely love you. All right, let's get started. Let's get started with some of the news that we need to talk about. All right, Derek just sent, see, I'm trying to be nice to Derek and say happy birthday to him. And he sends a fucking $500 super chat. Derek, thank you for the super chat. Aptronic. All right, so we're going to talk about Aptronic in a second because we have some big news on Aptronic. Aptronic is a humanoid robot company, and they announced some very, very important news. So we're going to talk about Robinhood. We're going to talk about Aptronic, and hopefully Derek's free. I can call him into the show and get his take on what happened with Aptronic because there's some big news. And for all the Google shareholders out there, the Aptronic and Google news is also very important as well. Basically, Google invested a lot of money in Aptronic, and Google is going after the humanoid robot. So we're going to talk about that in 10 minutes. Let's talk about Hood. We'll talk about Aptronic and Google in the next 10 minutes, and then we'll keep going from there. All right, Hood. So what can I say? They crushed it. They absolutely crushed it. I mean, there's nothing more to say other than they crushed it. We can go through all the numbers, and we will go through the numbers throughout the rest of the show. I'm not going to literally go through all the top line numbers right now, but because we have plenty of time to go through that. But in general, the reason the street is reacting the way they're reacting is because they crushed it. They absolutely crushed it. Here is the street's reaction to all the headlines. Bernstein, they raised from 51 to 105. Mizuho, 65 to 80. Piper Sandler, 54 to 75. Keyblank, 57 to 75. Barclays, 54 to 76. JMP, 60 to 77. Needham, 52 to 70. Citi, 45 to 60. And then KBW, for some reason, has them at 38, but they are just not relevant at all to Robinhood. So, I mean, you got the entire street that's saying, Yeah, this thing's going higher. This thing's going much higher. For the past couple of weeks, we've been really thinking, can Hood pull a Palantir in terms of its price action, in terms of buying into strength, in terms of really being re-rated as one of those companies that is, the premier company. And I think it's happening, guys. I really, really, really think it's happening. And the reason it's happening is because the numbers that Robinhood put up, and again, we'll go into the very specifics of them later in the show, but these are the headlines. They were just unbelievable. 115% year-over-year growth to a record 1.01 billion in revenue. When we found out that that they had $1 billion in revenue yesterday on the close, some of you guys were probably there on the stream with us. We would just, I started screaming. I was like, oh, they hit $1 billion in revenue. Like, it's very difficult to get $1 billion in a quarter, and that's not going to happen every quarter, but I think it might start becoming the norm in the next few quarters because of their growth. 16 billion of net deposits in Q4, record high for net deposits. 86% year-over-year growth for gold subscribers. They added 400,000 last quarter. These are people that are paying $5 a month. You're talking about 95% margins on that $5 a month. They have 2.6 million people paying $5 a month. That's over $100 million business ARR. For them simply having a good product when it comes to gold. They bought back 5 million of their shares. I mean, talk about a company that is just able to actually understand how to maintain financial discipline on the bottom line and the top line. I mean, they bought back 5 million shares at $19 in Q1 or Q3. They bought back 5 million shares at $32 in Q4. So it's like they've been so spot on at the right time to buy back their stock because they actually understand their business, and they've reward shareholders very well for that. And then 300% year-over-year growth in Q4's adjusted EBITDA. They brought in about $500 million of net income. Now, technically, they brought in almost $1 billion of net income because of this tax accounting thing. But if you take away that and just look at the actual EPS, not the adjusted EPS, $500 million. So they brought in $1 billion of profit or of revenue. Almost half of that is net income. So, for every dollar they bring in, almost 49 cents goes to the bottom freaking line. I mean, this is just incredible. Robinhood stock right here up 13.4%. Now, in terms of what's going to happen to the stock, could it dip back below 60? Yeah, I could see that. And I think it's if it happens, it's a very short dip unless it's more macro driven. I think we're going higher. I think there's a chance this thing tries to go to 70 today. Are there going to be people that try to take their profits? Sure. But it's not a quarter where this is like a one-time thing, or this is like, oh, it's an anomaly, or they pulled it off this time. They're not going to be able to do it for the future. So take your profits and get out. Because if you look at the Q1 numbers for January, 20 billion of crypto volumes, 166 million option contracts traded. That's a record high for January. 5.6 billion in net deposits. That's a good trend that they're continuing to get 5 billion a month, and $145 billion in equity volumes. January is shaping up to give us an amazing Q1. If February and March are relatively the same or even slightly lower, we're going to put up another $800 million of revenue in Q1. So, I mean, from that perspective, this was just one of those quarters that was incredible. Grab, oh wow, Grab's up another 2%. We'll talk more about Grab later. I mean, I found out why Grab was going up, and we talked about the market open, but the call volumes are going insane. And when I mean insane, I mean there were 229,000 call options bought yesterday, 12,000 put options. That's a 19x difference between call and puts. Whoever's buying, whether it's an institution, a retail, a whale, whoever it is, they're expecting a big move in Grab. And I think that's why the stock is getting some momentum right here. But yeah, Robinhood, $63 right now. It hit $66.20 at one point. I think it goes higher. I think $70 is very, very possible. The growth is what the street is paying a premium for. I think this is not something you should be afraid of. I'm going to buy more Robinhood today just because philosophically, I want to learn how to buy into strength. And I think on Palantir, I messed up on that. On Robinhood, honestly, I've not messed up on that. I bought at 31, 32, 35, 36, 50, 52. Every time it went a couple dollars higher, I would be the one putting in a bid, because where do we think this is going to go a decade from now? Where do we think this is going to go a decade from now? It's just this is inevitable. This is absolutely inevitable. What these guys are doing is just, it is a once in a lifetime company, in my opinion, because they know how to capitalize on this demand. And so it's been very, very exciting to see how this played out. They did their video presentation. I mean, this was the coolest part, dude. Their video presentation was freaking... It was the CFO and the CEO acting as if they just won Game 7, and they're doing a press conference in as if it's like an NBA. After Game 7, you're a star athlete and you take questions from the street. I mean, this is dope, dude. This is super, super freaking dope. And so this is the vibe they were going for. Robinhood actually, works with the NBA, so it was kind of like a cool vibe. And they crushed the earnings call. That to me, they needed, it was 30 seconds left, fourth quarter. They needed a layup. They went for the three. They won the game. And it's the beginning of the season. They didn't win the championship yet, but my goodness, they are getting ready to be a championship contender and actually win that championship towards the end of the year. And it looks like they're not slowing down anytime soon. I did have the honor of getting to meet Vlad last night. So I told you guys there was a little bit of a surprise coming. One of the surprises was that I was on the earnings call, which we'll listen to in a second, which was really fun. Me, Tanner, and Roy. So I think you guys really enjoyed that when you saw us on the earnings call. Another surprise was, look, I'm in the Bay Area. Robinhood's headquarters are in the Bay Area as well. So they invited me to the office after the earnings call, and it was really cool. I'll talk more about it later, but I got to get a tour of the office. Vlad is just, dude, he's one of the most chill guys ever. It was dope, dude. It was really dope. He was really proud of the quarter, and we got to talk about some cool stuff. So I'm not going to play the full interview. You can watch it on my Twitter, but at the end of the interview, I gave him a little something here. Vlad, thanks for taking the time to do this. So at the end of a really good basketball game, the MVP tends to get the game ball. And I wanted to give you something. So on my market open and market close and live streams, I ring a bell.
Oh, nice.
Major milestones. And today, we had to ring this bell many, many times to celebrate Robinhood's accomplishments. So I wanted to give it to you.
Oh, well, thank you.
A bell for you. And hopefully this is the bell you keep for the quarter that you guys got to $1 billion in revenue for the first time.
I love it. Yeah.
It would be a bigger cowbell, but I left that at home, so I've been using small ones. So
this is good. It's an appropriate, we got to stay humble. Can't get too complacent. Got to get to 10 billion if I want the big bell, right?
This is why he's charming, bro. Only someone like him could be like, oh yeah, no, this little bell is good. It keeps us humble. Like, it's just, there's a certain level of charm you have to be able to make a joke in that moment, and he's got it. He absolutely has it.
Yeah, I love it. Well, thank you. And there's hopefully I see Q out there. Q's the real MVP. I mean, the brokerage business and crypto as well drove a lot this quarter. So I'm sure they'd love to see you too. Robinhood CEO and co-founder, the man, the myth, the legend, Vlad Tenev. Thanks for doing this, Vlad. Thanks, man. We'll watch the full thing later. It's like a 7-minute thing. It was supposed to be like a 2 to 3 minute thing, but Vlad's answers are kind of really long, so it turned into 7 minutes. And so we'll watch the full thing after the bell. But he ended up giving me something as well. So he gave me this. We kind of exchanged gifts right here. And this is a gavel. So this is really cool. Basically, Vlad is a monster, bro. He's an absolute monster. Like, he's like, the reason we get these results is because he pushes the team really freaking hard to win. And he gave me this. It was sitting on his desk. And he was like, every time they have a hands up or a stand up meeting, if someone's not hitting their metrics, he'll bang the gavel on the desk and he'll be like, why aren't you hitting your metrics? Obviously in a humorous way, but there's also a lot of seriousness towards it, because like when he has one-on-ones with people, stand up meetings, and people are like not hitting their metrics if they're responsible for this or that, it'll be a sort of bang the gavel on the desk moment. And it's kind of like this tough love, like, let's go back to reality. Like, hey, you're not really executing here. We need to like snap out of it and get to our numbers. And he said he gave this to me, and I was like, all right, if the stock ever falls 30%, I'm gonna bang on the table and say, hey Vlad, why is the stock down 30%? So that was it was a cool little exchange, and overall it was an incredible experience. It was really fun. Again, got to see the entire office. I thought their office was like in a skyscraper or something. Their office is like a really chill office. It almost looks like a cowboy ranch or something. It's like low top, and it's just super dope. It's just super dope. So it was fun. It was exciting to see them. And ultimately, he was really happy that they put $1 billion up in revenue. And I think the street was happy. Obviously, a lot of us were happy, but they were really proud of that accomplishment, that they got to that level. Robinhood right here, 62.70, up 12.23% in the pre-markets. So it was dope, man. It was really, really freaking dope. It was an exciting time, exciting experience. I'm happy I got to be out here and do this and go get to see him. But the quarter they put up is just one of those quarters that it's just undeniable. It really is just undeniable. Yes, Piper Sandler raised from 54 to 75. We looked at the upgrades already. All of the upgrades are pretty gigantic. And I think the reason the upgrades are coming, and it's funny because people are just like, well, price to sales, PE, yada, yada. And I'm like, first of all, those metrics are not even the best metrics to look at analyzing a growth stock. Number two, Robinhood's actually growing. They just put up 115% year-over-year growth.
what more do you want? You know, like, yeah, you pay a premium on something that's really growing, but that growth's not stopping. And I think a lot of the analysts are realizing that. And it's not just tied to market conditions because they're showing so many other different ways to capitalize on their momentum, which is why we're seeing the excitement from the street. And speaking of diversifying the business, I did get to ask a question yesterday on the call, which was also really cool. So they invited me, Tanner, and Roy to ask a question and participate. This is the question that I asked right here, and we'll play this right now.
Question comes from Amit is Investing. Amit?
Never heard of them.
Hey, Vlad. Hey, Jason. Thanks for taking my question, and congrats again on an incredible quarter. Last year, you all told investors that as rates come down, you can expect more trading volumes, and that thesis has basically played out. I think right now we're in kind of a Goldilocks zone where rates are strong enough for your net interest income to sustain itself, but not low enough to take away that income. So is the guide for 2025 similar to rates coming down would lead to an increase in trading volumes, or is there a diversified view that investors should have on the impact of rates on the business?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and take that. Thanks for the question. So the comments I gave on revenue is that we expect another year of double-digit revenue growth. So the precision that we were providing on guidance was really around OpEx at 2 to 2.1 billion. We are seeing that relationship, that natural hedge play out where rates go one direction and trading goes the other. And just looking at the print this morning and the updated expectations around rate cuts, I think there's still room for rates to come down this year. Maybe perhaps it's one cut or maybe two. But I feel like our business is really designed to thrive regardless of the macro backdrop on interest rates. And we've seen the pickup in trading. Rates have come down. We're still, to your point, making strong interest. And we've been diversifying our business. As I mentioned at Investor Day a couple of months ago, we now have 9 business areas with revenues over $100 million. So we feel like we're really well positioned, and it has been nice to see our thesis play out that there's a natural hedge in this business, and it's really been playing out and showcased in Q4.
Yeah, I just want to add there. We're building a business that's intended to not be reliant on external factors for revenue. So that's why even with our yield products like the Gold Sweep, the goal would be to operate with a certain margin and vary that with the rates, but we want to be competitive and offer customers a great deal regardless of the rate environment and general.
So that was my question. Now, the funny thing about that question, which I thought it was a good question because it wasn't like, hey, when are the credit cards coming? It was like an actual macro question about, hey, how do rates affect your business? How should investors think about the nature of net interest income, which is like over 40% of your revenue? I thought of that question 2 minutes before I went live, bro. Me, Tanner, and Roy were in the chat, and we were like just nervous as hell because we were like, all right, no one knows we're about to do this. Like, we're in a queue, so we never know when our name's going to get called up. The reason it didn't seem like I was talking was because there's a delay in StreamYard, so we had to like not listen to StreamYard. We had to pay attention to our phone and listen to it. And Tanner's like, dude, my heart is beating. And I'm like, Tanner, I don't even have a question yet. Because like the whole day was so busy. I was streaming in the morning. Like, I never had time to think of a question. And then 2 minutes before they call my name, I'm like, what could I ask them about? Like, what's a good question that like a CEO would be proud of that like an analyst actually understands their business? And I was like, well, we've been talking about rates on the channel for a long time, and like the kind of a Goldilocks zone, Robinhood getting interesting. And I just came up with that question right there. But like I legit did not have a question up until 2 minutes into it, so my heart was beating as well. But we got the question. Hopefully, it was good. And yeah, that was the earnings. It was cool. It was really, really cool. Amazing experience. And obviously the stock is benefiting from that. And look, a lot of you guys have been on the journey on this one. I mean, Hood and Pound here, right? It's been the past kind of 2 years has been covering these two pretty in depth. And sometimes if you get, 2 of them right, you don't really need to diversify into all the other ones. Like if 2 are winners, you stay with the winners. Obviously you want to get the next winner as well, but maybe we'll see if Grab can be that next winner. But, you kind of got to go deep and see how this ends up playing out. So Robinhood right here, 62.50. We'll talk a lot more about the earnings later throughout the show. I do think the stock goes higher, and if it doesn't, it's a very easy buy the dip. I had puts at 50, sold puts. I had sold puts at 55. So I went deep in the money on puts over the past month. I sold them when Robinhood was not at 50 or 55. So they were kind of synthetically long puts. And the hope was that Q4 is going to be so amazing that those puts are going to go to zero and I'm going to collect all the premium. All in all, it was going to be like around 17 grand in premium if I can, if Robinhood can stay above 55 by the end of the month, which I think it will. And if it doesn't, I buy that dip because now as we re-rate the company, the 50s looks relatively cheap compared to their growth and the 40s look like a steal. So this is what happens right now. If Palantir went down to 80 or 90, like, could you say it's not a little bit more attractive? I mean, yeah, it is. Right. And so as the company starts executing, if you do get some dips, which we could get or we could not get, I think these get a lot more exciting as well. So this is what we got. This is what we got on Hood, and very exciting to see some of the momentum that we got from the company on their earnings. Okay, let's talk about another piece of news that affects Google and we'll talk more about Hood later after the bell, but that's kind of the top line news. First of all, congrats to everybody in Hood. Got a lot of messages last night. Congrats. It's been a hell of a story. This is a generational company, in my opinion. This is a company that's a once-in-a-lifetime company when it comes to finance. I still think it's cheap. I still think they have a long runway of growth ahead of them. So I think this is a story that will be able to evolve really over the next decade. Like, we're going to be getting to talk about Hood and Palantir for the next 10 years. And it's very rare to find a company you can really talk about and follow their journey for a long time. But Robinhood is one of those companies that we can, along with Palantir. So super, super cool to see this happening. And I'm going to be back to the Bay Area again in March when they have their gold day. So I will be in California many times this year because they're going to have their gold event in San Francisco. So I'll be back here in a couple weeks. But very, very exciting stuff for Robinhood, and congrats to everyone else. All right, Apptronic and Google. So full disclosure, I'm an investor in Apptronic, and I put 10 grand into Apptronic in February of 2024. This was Chris Camillo who got me, well, this was Derek who got me to meet Chris Camillo, and then Chris Camillo got me to invest in Apptronic. Today, Apptronic has just announced a $350 million Series A co-led by B Capital and Capital Funding Group with participation from Google. So this is really cool for a couple of reasons. Number one, it means that my 10,000 has now become more than 10,000, which is I'm very grateful for, and that's awesome to see. But number two, and more importantly, it means that Google is getting into the humanoid race. That is what's happening right now as they are investing in Apptronic. And it's probably because Google realizes, hey, we need to grow. And the only way for us to grow is to have something outside of just search. Apple, yesterday, reports came out that they're getting into the humanoid robotics race. Obviously, Tesla is there, Figure's there. And so it's a big thing. It is happening. I'm going to give a call to Derek because he's the one who got me into this deal and get his take on this. Let's see if he can pick up. But yeah, this is happening. Derek, good morning. You're live on the Market Open.
Good morning, buddy.
First of all,
it's a big fucking day. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. It's a big day, but also, again, happy belated birthday to you. Hope you enjoyed your birthday.
Yeah, it was so awesome. Sorry when you called me last night. I was like literally fried. It was a long day, but I had a great day. It was a day that I woke up so old. Everyone, life goes by so fast. Just enjoy it. And the only thing you have is your friends and family. That's it. So all the stuff we talk about today, investing money, that will never bring happiness. Just know that. So I came to an age of 55. I cannot believe I'm saying that. Seems like I'm 18 years old. And I had a reflecting day. I had a reflecting day so bad, and people will probably laugh. I actually call people and apologize for being an asshole to them because I don't want to die on my deathbed. No, I'm being serious. I fired a president one time, and he cried in front of me in the boardroom, and this was years ago, and I called him and apologized.
Wow.
I said, it was probably the wrong way. Yeah, I had that reflecting moment, Amit, but, you got to learn every day from everything, and, I don't know.
No, it also helps
you. Pay it forward.
Yeah, you got to pay it forward. It helps you sleep better at night, and as you said, every moment is so precious, and, it matters more than stocks, investing, any of that stuff.
Yeah.
All right, bro.
It's kind of fun. I'm really excited that I'm in the car in the Cybertruck. I just picked up Emma, and her friends flew in to Miami from college. And so we're all in here. and these girls are like, holy shit, like, Derek, you've been, AI humanoids for the last years. I embedded my family and friends into humanoid market years ago, and everyone thought I was crazy, and they're just like, shit, this is it. And
so here's the thing. You invested in Figure at 70 million when it was an idea on a napkin. So you really saw this before a lot of people thought it was coming. Apptronic, we both invested in last year. They just raised $350 million. That's a hell of a Series A. Google's getting into this. Quote from Jeff, the CEO: "We're creating the world's most advanced and capable humanoid robots designed to work alongside humans in meaningful and transformative ways. By uniting cutting-edge AI with hardware engineered for meaningful interaction, we're shaping a future where robots become true partners in driving progress. It's inspiring to have investors who believe in this vision and are committing to help us bring us to life." What's your take on Google getting into the humanoid race?
Okay, so I attribute it. I attribute it to the computer industry. So if you think about it, and too many people are on this are probably too young, but I hope there's probably a lot of oldies. Just 15 years ago, and I'm going to use an example, and the example is computers. We had leading companies. So you had Toshiba, Sony Bio, you had Samsung, you had HP, Acer, MSI. You had all these computer manufacturers, and guess what? It all when it's a mass race, when technology just explodes, you have many players. Same with the phone industry. Many phones out there existed before iPhone or whatever, and Samsung. So my belief, and I'm super excited, only for one thing, is that for you and I and others, we got in so early, we'll make a lot of money, but it's gonna, the TAM is the largest TAM any human has ever created. So it's bigger than phones. It's bigger than cars. So the demand for manufacturing is going to be endless for the next 10, 15 years. So this is going to be just, the ones that are going to lead are going to have the ecosystems. The ones that are going to lead are the Teslas, the Apples have a huge shot at it. You have Google now. And then you have the one-offs bigger that is really vertically integrated. Well, I'll say this: if actually, you were there a couple days ago,
and I saw the future. It was insane.
I walked in, you guys. So when I invested in Figure, it was on paper, a literally fucking deck. When I walked in November on Investor Day, they let the seed investor guys in. I literally walked in with tears in my eyes. I saw 30 robots walking around, and my heart was pounding. I was shocked. Yes, and we talked about it. You had that same feeling, but it's the future. It's here. It's here today.
It's here today.
Crazy.
And it's here today. It's happening right now. So when people see the podcast, they're going to see me and Brett talking, and there's a robot walking behind us. Like, it's happening. They're being trained every single day. It's going into motion. What is your take on why Google is realizing they need to get into the space?
So here's the deal. So I think everyone's flipping. We saw the last 2 weeks DeepSeek R1 last month. We see this open source of AI. We see this, and I'm kind of sad. Well, I'm not. Yeah, I am a little sad. I'm an investor in a lot of companies. XAI, Perplexity, Anthropic, I like all of them. But guess what? LLM's becoming commoditized because it's open source, meaning that it is become useless. So the next transition, I guess, from a technology perspective, is this: embodied AI. Embodied AI is the biggest thing ever. And so vertical companies, like, everyone, first and foremost, I still throw up when people say that, Brett is a Trevor Milton. We have Archer that actually is closing deals, and, in the next 10 years, Archer is going to be a fucking huge company. But secondly is, what they're building on the ability to create this ecosystem around the humanoid sector is like, it's so big. I get so excited around this whole model, but everyone's going to go to market. There's no other product out there that can take AI. AI has become commoditized into large language model. Steve Jobs probably would have been working on humanoids after he realized cars years and years ago, and Apple would have won on humanoids. So the only way to grow mass revenue, we know this, you see it, Optimus is going to make Tesla 25 30 trillion, $100 trillion. Tesla will make trillions of dollars in net income. It's the only thing that has huge TAM because the average orders price, and then we'll have a market of 8 billion units. So it's a natural progression for OpenAI, Google, who else is in there? Tesla, Figure. What are the other ones I'm missing? Every player is going towards humanoids, just like they did with computers back in the day in the 80s. You know,
And is that because they also realize the growth in the next, like we're all looking for S curves of growth. These public companies need to double their valuations over the next 10 years. So they're going for robots, basically.
Everyone's going for robots. The cool thing is, I love about our Figure is that it's quasi set up. It will for sure be the first IPO. And I love it. They're ahead of everyone. Figure left the relationship with OpenAI because actually they're going to show in a few weeks some breaking, like people's jaws will drop because LLM or OpenAI is just commoditized. I'm super excited that we got him, invested in Aptronic a couple rounds because it needed the brain, and it just, from a technical perspective, these guys are hardware guys, and so they needed Google DeepMind. In my opinion, you see this in the next year or 24 months. I think Aptronic will get bought for 30 to 50 billion by Google, and you'll see Figure go public at 350 to 500 billion. It's straight to $1 trillion. And then all these other players, once you see the market, technology progression, all that, then you have a bunch of others, and then it'll just consolidate, and I'd probably just be a couple players. And I don't know what's going to end up. But we have a long road ahead of us, which is exciting. Probably the best company to invest in is probably NVIDIA. Because guess what? In the heart of every processor and every humanoid is going to be NVIDIA.
Well, that's what Brett said on the podcast as well. He said NVIDIA. He said
he did say that.
I asked him, "What do you think about NVIDIA?" He said he's bullish NVIDIA. So it's okay. Last question for you. Google. They have a history of kind of not really doing well with acquisitions.
They'll probably fuck it up. But here, I think that this is an investment right now, but it's really deep investment. And I don't know. I don't know. They tried this with what was the one that Boston? They bought Boston
Dynamics.
Boston Dynamics. They screwed it up. I don't know. Big companies are not agile. Big companies fell because they overcomplicate things. So, that's why you see Apple and Google. Yeah, they see the TAM, but I think the quasi largest companies in the world will probably be like, it's possible, but it's definitely Tesla, NVIDIA. Figure has a shot to being the one-all, and I kind of like that because it'll be the first vertically integrated humanoid IPO, and us as just humans love that. It's like hyper-focused, biggest TAM in the world, and but it's going to drive the whole market.
Do you think there's a lot of concerns of Tesla, obviously with Elon, whatever? Do you think?
Yeah, listen. He's committed 6 months in the White House. He's in the Oval in his office. He's not leaving. He's sleeping underneath his desk. He's driven by it. His focus is to save Americans with a real heart. I don't think it's bullshit. Am I worried as a Tesla investor? I'll put it this way. I'll tell everyone this. Amanda and I'm ready to go back all in into Tesla, and I don't know. That company and that man is genius. He hires and surrounds us with genius people. But when you look over, Tesla is as big as, it's not SpaceX, okay? It's not Neuralink. It's Tesla right now. Tesla is a freaking robotics company on wheels and on feet. And I hope that, little small companies can be more agile. And I'll use a dumb example as Facebook and MySpace. Like MySpace was everything, and then they just focused on one little niche, and that was colleges, and it just blew up. So little guys and can take them out, but I think that I don't know where. I know that Figure from a technology perspective is ahead of Tesla, and everyone will probably go bullshit, Derek. But I've seen it, and I know it, and it's cool. It's like I have friends at both sides, and I think you do too, Amit. And I don't know what's going to happen to Tesla, but it's going to be a rocky road. But he has the government in his back pocket, and with that, you can do anything you want. Tesla's a buy, not a trade. When it crashes, you buy. When it crashes, you buy. When it crashes, you buy. It's a great trading stock if you're into, fibs and volume gaps, but, I'm not too worried about Tesla if that's what you're asking. But yeah, it's going to be rocky for a while.
All right. I love it. Derek, last thing for you. Someone in the chat says, this guy's 55. He speaks like he's 20. So people can sense the energy from your voice. Derek's building a startup, guys, and he's building it like he's 18 years old and he has something to prove to the world.
Yeah, so. To all of you, some of you know my story. This last summer, I've had many companies, and this last summer, I flew around like a gypsy 18-year-old, interviewed 20 for my CTO co-founder roles, and I interviewed the CTO of Amazon, blah, 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 blah. And I was like a kid, and I'm still like a kid. I raised 10 million, and we announced it in December, and we built, everyone's leaving Openai, and it's quasi-AI, but it's applicable to anything manufactured, anything made, and I'm building $1 trillion company, and I wake up every day like an 18-year-old, 100%. That's the only way you're able to do it.
I love it, Derek. Thank you. Happy freaking birthday. Thank you for getting me into Eptronic and Figure as well.
Yeah, congrats on taking a leap of faith in this market. That's all I can say. Open-minded, but being smart, methodical, making decisions based on predictiveness of technology and stuff like that. I'm just so grateful for you. You've changed my life from an understanding of just relationships and everything, and I'm just so grateful. And you've touched millions of people's lives, and we're grateful for you every morning and every night.
I appreciate you.
See you later, guys. Have a good day.
Thank you.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, so that's Derek's take on the humanoid robotics sector. Obviously, he thinks Tesla and NVIDIA is going to be a big winner. And by the way, when you guys see the podcast with Brett, the CEO Figure, I made sure to ask him about NVIDIA, and he said, yeah, like if you have 1 billion robots on the planet, and I mean his ambition is to get to 10 billion robots. NVIDIA is going to be in a lot of them. NVIDIA is not going to be in all of them. And by the time, we get 10 years from now, there's probably going to be some level of competition with NVIDIA because NVIDIA is not going to have these margins forever. But the idea that NVIDIA is cyclical, I mean, to an extent, that's true. But if humanoid robots take off, you're going to need those NVIDIA chips. I mean, when I was getting a tour of the factory, he showed us the NVIDIA chips they were using for inferencing in the heart of the robot. We got to touch it. Like we could really see it. So, it's going to be a big thing. And they're not producing that many robots a week right now. Their goal is to produce 100,000 over the next 4 years and then a couple million into 2030. They're going to need a lot of NVIDIA chips to do that. So it's going to be very, very exciting to see how this ends up playing out. We got about 4 minutes until the market open. Robinhood up 12.8% or about 13% here. Look, I think it holds the pump. I wouldn't be surprised if it gives back a little bit of the pump. I do think that given all the institutional exposure that the name is getting right now, and upgrades as well, that we're probably going to see a bit of momentum here. But if it does dip, then I'll be there to buy that dip. Again, the thing about Hood is just like they are proving they are going to be a company that lasts for a long time. And if they're going to be around for a long time, then I want to be part of that story. I think Vlad's going to be on at 9:40, so we could watch him on CNBC. I don't think he's been on yet, but I think he'll be on a bit later throughout the day. Reddit is down 5%. Reddit's an animal, dude. It was down 15% yesterday. By the way, it was down 15% for a stupid reason. They missed on their users by a couple million. They grew revenue 70%. They're profitable. They missed users by a couple million. I'm not saying the valuation is like amazing for Reddit. I get it. But like that was not the reason to tank them. So it makes sense that Reddit's recovering from down 15% to down 5% because that was a stupid reason for it to tank. But Reddit right here, they had a great earnings, down only 5%. HubSpot's up 6%. AppLovin, I still have no idea what this company does. Like, I legit have no idea what AppLovin does. They're up freaking 31%. So shout out to AppLovin right here at 31%. Trade Desk is down 30%. I actually am getting really interested in buying this dip. I know very little about Trade Desk, but I do know they're a quality company, and I don't know if they deserve to be down 30%. Probably not buying the dip today. I need to do a little bit of due diligence, but I do feel it's a bit aggressive. Know nothing about the numbers, but they're one of the premier names in advertising tech. So I was surprised to see them get this big of a hit. Dutch Bros absolutely crushed it, up 31%. For those that are in Dutch Bros, congratulations. I mean, 7 cents of EPS Street expected 0. So yeah, that one is definitely getting the benefit of that. And then Cisco, which, doesn't really move that much, that's up 6% as well. So when you got Cisco moving up 6%, you know that earnings are probably good in the broader equity markets. And overall, yesterday was another day of really good earnings for stocks. And we're seeing that right now. Yeah, Matt Money's gonna get a Lambo off of Dutch Bros. He's been talking about Dutch Bros for a while, so he will get a Lambo. AppLovin is AI advertising. Okay, I need to do way more due diligence into AppLovin because I don't know, but their stock is up 1,000x or not 1,000, 10x. I mean, they're up freaking 10x in a year, almost less than a year, I think, or maybe like 13, 14 months, but it's pretty incredible what they've been able to do. So that's been an amazing one that has done very, very well. All right, here we go. We've got the market open coming up in just a couple of minutes or a couple of seconds. Got about 30 seconds left, and then we'll get into it. It was $9 2 years ago. Yeah, see, that's had a good run. It's had a very good run. All right, 10 seconds. We'll talk about Grab as well. Grab seems to be option call volume, so we'll discuss that. That's probably also a reason why it's up. And we will see how the street continues to price those options here today. All right, here we go. 9:30, Thursday, February 13th. Thank you, everybody, for being here. The stock market is now open. Wake your ass up. Here we go. Robinhood, $62.72. There you go. We are up 12.5% in the pre-markets. Now we are at 63. Now we just got to see how strong can it hold these levels, but I think it's going to hold given the earnings that we saw. It's going to, if it can hold over the next 5 minutes, then we know that there's not a massive dump that's happening. Some people are probably using it as liquidity, but I would imagine other people are buying in as they saw those results, and that's what's keeping it elevated right here. Robinhood up 12.3%. Nvidia's up 0.5%. Tesla recovering from 315 at one point that it got to, now at 343. So a nice little recovery over the past couple of days, still down from that 420 level that it was at 2 days ago. Grab goes down 1%. All right, so pre-market gets a little bit of a dump, still at 494, but it is down from 512 where it was in the pre-markets. Google, again, they invested in Apptronic today. That news came out. Google's getting into the humanoid robotics race. Google is not really getting a pump from investing in Apptronic. Street's not really interpreting it as super bullish yet to give them any further gains on the day, but still, Google right here at 186. Palantir closed almost at 117 yesterday. No, it did close at 117 yesterday. So, I mean, Palantir, great day, strong momentum, 116.90, very close to 117, down about 0.5%. I think, and we'll talk more about this later throughout the show, I think the answer is simple for why Palantir is maintaining these multiples and maintaining momentum. And it's Doge. Like, it's just that simple. And we'll talk more about it. There's a little bit of due diligence I found last night on why the connections between Palantir and Doge are becoming even more real. But I think that's the narrative that's keeping it up, and that's why we're seeing this momentum. Big Bear AI, that's up 5.4%. Intel up 3%. Vertiv up 1.4%. Micron up 1.59%. SMCI, thank goodness I sold those calls yesterday. I'm out. This thing's below 40. We got out with a $2,750 profit. I'm happy about that, and hopefully SMCI goes to the moon for those that are holding it long-term, which I think it will because it is cheap given their growth. But yeah, just did not want to be in that anymore. SoFi right here up 3.32%. Upstart's up 1.7%. Alibaba's down 2.5%. Uber's down 0.3%. Meta's down 0.25%. Wow, Hoodie, 64. 64. All right, we got to 66 last night. So it is, I think it's not crazy to see if that happens again. 64 right here. Let me see, check resistance at 65. 65 resistance on Hood is 87,000, which is not a lot of shares. 87,000, which is not a lot of shares. So we're going to see. Chris says, I'm waiting for their filing and NVIDIA earnings. Yeah, I agree. I think when they file and they're not like a fraud and they prove that they're audited and NVIDIA shows Blackwell demand is crazy, then I think SMCI is going to be fine. Just might take some time for it to get there. Google right here, 185, Tesla 342, and then Robinhood got rejected at 64 for a little bit. We'll see if it can make it back there, but it did hit 64. Now it's 63.83. Yeah, it looks like it's going to get back. Wow, got to 64.67. It was making a run for 65. Yeah, I think we get there. Very close to 64. Look, 70 now doesn't sound crazy, and I'm not even just saying that because it's close to 70. I'm saying that because when you look at the numbers and you project out the growth, I haven't done the exact multiples, but you get to some pretty realistic estimates on price to free cash flow, price to earnings, and EV to adjusted EBITDA. And those are sort of the metrics that, the street values Robinhood on. They really don't look at price to sales or anything like that. They look at price to free cash flow, price to earnings, and then EV to adjusted EBITDA. There you go, back at 64. Like on those metrics, if Robinhood can sustain the growth, yeah, this is not really that scary of a price to buy into. Oh my God, Palantir Oh, we hit 118. We hit 118. Did we ever hit 118 before? No, I think this is the first time. All right, here we go. We got to ring the bell for 118. Oh my, there you go. We already rang the bell for 64 last night, guys, on Hood. So that's why I didn't ring the bell for Hood. We got to get to 66 to ring the bell for Hood, because we rang the bell for 64 and 65. We rang the bell like 7 times, yes, last night. Even during the call, we had to ring the bell because the stock kept going up. But yeah, I guess we hit a new all-time high on Palantir. I don't think we hit 118 before. Or did we? Chad, just don't. Oh, speaking of Palantir, by the way, hold on. We got this right here from AIG, which is a large insurance company, that I'm about to post this on Twitter. But this is a quote from their earnings that I found last night. Another strategic accomplishment in 2024 was the delivery of AIG's first generative artificial intelligence large language model powered solution to support business growth. Specifically, we implemented AIG Underwriter Assist, which automates qualitative unstructured data extraction from underlying submissions, internal AIG data sources, and external research in minutes to support underwriting review of submissions. To support and advance our generative AI aspirations, we've cultivated an ecosystem of top-tier technology partners, including Palantir, Anthropic, and AWS, in support of an agentic architecture operating model that allows for maximum flexibility. So you got some of the biggest insurance companies in the world that are saying, yeah, it's Palantir that's actually helping us plan and build and execute this stuff. So let's actually post this tweet right now. AIG, which is a $46 billion insurance company, one of the world's largest insurance companies, mentions Palantir as one of their key technology partners to implement AI in the enterprise. All right, there you go. There's the post. So, I mean, when you get a company like AIG saying our agentic architecture is happening because of Palantir, and notice, they mentioned AWS, they had a hyperscaler there, but then they mentioned Palantir, which lives on top of that AWS, right? It lives on top of it's you got the hyperscalers, then you have the actual software layers on top of the hyperscalers. If it's Palantir and AWS that are delivering them the results, there you go. 65.48 on Hood. All right, we need 66 for the bell. Give us the bell, baby. We broke through 65. Let me check resistance at 66. 66 is 34,000 shares. I think that's nothing. I think we break through that. 16% up on the day. I think we broke it last night in the overnight markets. We don't have to break it right here, but I think we do. That's not a lot of shares. 66, and we get to ring our bell again and get to see Robinhood get close to 70. Again, yes, it's close to 70, which is why I can get there, but also it's cheap. It's cheap right here if you assume the right growth. They've got to get the growth. They've shown they can get the growth. And if you assume that, I think the street's going to assume that, and you get momentum. Also, you got a lot of new people buying in. You got a lot of people. I mean, there were people last night on Twitter that I was reading some of their comments, and they were like, oh, I never thought of Robinhood like this. I'm going to take a serious look at the stock. I mean, we've been following the Robinhood journey, and I've been obsessed with it and all this stuff, but there are a lot of other people in the world that know about Robinhood, but they never cared about Robinhood. They see these results just like Palantir. People have heard of the name. Then they see 36% year-over-year growth. I'm like, oh yeah, let me look at it. Oh, only $100. All right, I'm in. Right. Obviously, not everyone just looks at market cap and price earnings. They kind of just look at, how do I get exposure? And maybe it's a starter position of 100 shares or 200 shares or 50 shares or whatever, but it brings new buyers in that don't really care about anything other than the momentum and the excitement on the name that's turning into a real story. And I think that we're seeing that with Palantir and Robinhood right now. NVIDIA 132, that's up 1.25%. Grab is down 1%. Palantir 116 getting rejected at 117 or at 118. TSM's down 2%. Nebis is up 0.37%, Uber 0.52%, SoFi is up 2.2%, Tesla 345, and Robinhood right here at 64.70 here on the day. Hims is squeezing, dude. Hims has been crazy. Wow, 48.84. That is insane. Absolutely insane. I mean, congrats to everyone on Hims. What do you think of Hood 127, 70, 90 spreads? That's a good question. Let me pull that up right now. The $90 strikes are officially out for Robinhood, so that is also good now that we can actually look at heavier strikes. Let me take a look at what that looks like. So 70, 90, 2 years out. 70, 90, what is that going for? That is going for, so that's a $20 spread, and that's going for $5. Yeah, that's kind of like a four. If you can get it at 5, you might have to pay like $5.20, but that's a 4x. So if Robinhood's $90 by 2027, that is a 4x on that spread. If you get it at around 550, maybe like a 3.75. Yeah, I don't hate that, Doug. I don't hate it. I mean, with S&P inclusion, which is another catalyst, I mean, I think there's a world where, dude, I think there's a world where we see 90 this year. I mean, it's very, where do we think this is going? They've got 3 more events coming up this year. Vlad said they're going to announce new stuff to advisory with gold. Advisory is a multi-trillion-dollar TAM. Schwab and Fidelity make the majority of their money off of advising. When Robinhood gets into that business with tech and AI and innovation, I can only imagine the multiple expansion the street's going to see as they diversify the business. And I think Vlad on that call, he was really relaxed because he knew what was happening. I mean, like you could kind of just tell in his voice that he knew where this is going. And over the next coming months, I think we're going to see how it plays out. Exciting stuff right here. I think he's going to be on CNBC Live in a second. Sorry, guys, I'm sneezing a little too much. But I think we'll go to him as soon as he's there. Is Rocket Lab up? Let's see Rocket Lab. Rocket Lab is down 27.45. It's basically flat, but it's down. Robinhood really wants 66. She really wants 66. Thank you for everyone saying bless you in the chat. I appreciate it. Dude, this Airbnb is just too cold. I don't know what's going on. Like this heater does not work. It's a good Airbnb too. It's not like a shitty Airbnb. Like it's a very good Airbnb. It's just the heater doesn't work. And I'm like, I don't even want to message the host and say, the host has been so good to me, bro. They've been so like nice. And I'm like, I don't want to ruin their day because I feel like they take it personally if I tell them, hey, like this heater wasn't working. But I feel like I got to tell them because anyone who comes to this place is going to be cold as hell. 65.50 on Hood, 17%. Palantir right here, 116, Google 185, NVIDIA 132, Tesla 347, HIMS again up 6%. Where's the crypto stocks today? Oh, is Bitcoin going up? Bitcoin, see, Robinhood's moving even without Bitcoin. This is why I freaking love Hood over every other crypto proxy. It is actually getting a catalyst off Bitcoin, but if Bitcoin doesn't move, that's okay. It's a real business. It's an actual business. It doesn't need Bitcoin to move up just for the street to recognize it. Like there's a real underlying business underneath it. So making this move without it is pretty good. Vlad's live. Okay. Let's go to Vlad. One second. Here we go.
Is CEO Vlad Tenet with Kate Rooney. Hey, Kate.
Hey, Carl. Good morning. Vlad, it's great to see you. Thanks for being here in person.
Thanks for having me.
So big quarter for you guys. Stock is up double digits overnight. Crypto was the big driver, ton of trading activity. And you think about Q4, that was really the post-election rally that you saw. What kind of momentum are you seeing in this quarter into 2025? And what signals are you seeing that can potentially continue?
Yeah, Q1 has been strong so far. We've seen the momentum continue. And, crypto's been a big story. Obviously, it's done well since the election, and our crypto revenues were up 700% year over year. Crypto volumes up over 400%. But it was also a balanced quarter. I think one of the main advantages of Robinhood as a platform for our crypto traders is you can also trade options and equities and futures alongside earning a high yield on your cash. And so there's just many reasons why you would move your assets into Robinhood. And that drove net deposits to over 50 billion for the year, which was up a very large amount over the previous year. So crypto, I think, gets the headline, but it was just a diversified quarter with, now we have nine business lines generating over 100 million in annual revenue.
How much of an overlap is there between that customer who's trading crypto and trading options and equities and everything you talked about?
We tend to see that for our active traders, they actually tend to be the ones that adopt all of our products. They're adopting retirement more quickly. They tend to adopt crypto and trade crypto. They go between assets. So they've been adopting futures, which is a new business that we have. And then Robinhood Legend. Robinhood Legend was a little bit of a dark horse in this earnings call, but we announced that that's already a $50 million business after just 2 months of being live. So that's been growing incredibly quickly.
And that's for professional traders, that Legend, just to be clear.
That's
so
our desktop platform for active traders.
You also talked about some other asset classes, sports gambling or sports contracts. It seems like it's a big opportunity. What went down with the Super Bowl contracts? You guys launched that, and then the CTFC intervened. With that backdrop, do you feel confident that you can actually get into this sports contract arena?
Yeah, I mean, let me just say that prediction markets are the future. I think they're the future, not just for traders, but also for news and information. So I've been a big believer in the power of prediction markets for a long time. And I think there's a ton of value, both for trading and also as a source of information. So we're gonna be going big, and we're gonna be a leader there. We were disappointed in the CFTC's sort of like way of handling that. I think you know, the fact that it was okay for others to offer this product, but you know, for Robinhood, it was not. I think was not ideal. But we're going to continue to push for clarity here. You know, we recognize there's not a lot of clarity because it's a new, innovative asset class. But I think we're going to push for that, and we're going to get that. And Robinhood will be a leader in offering these new, innovative products to consumers.
Have you thought at all about a potential reputational risk? You know, there was a time a few years ago, you guys were fighting this perception that the Robinhood was gamifying stock markets. You guys have come so far from GameStop, and now have retirement accounts, are going after this more sophisticated trader. Do you worry about getting into sports gambling and what that might mean for some, you know, in terms of the perception of Robinhood?
Yeah, I mean, I think that these prediction markets are qualitatively different than sports gambling for a couple of reasons. One is these are CFTC federally regulated event contracts. And what that means is instead of, you know, betting against the house or setting a line, this is an exchange, a designated contract market where buyers and sellers are meeting. So you're not, you know, setting a line. So I think it's very different. I also think that, you know, if you think about the news, right, I like to think about prediction markets as the next generation of the news. And we know the news is economically valuable. You know, people pay for getting the newspaper. They pay indirectly for, you know, shows like this through advertising. And so if you get the news before it happens, that should be even more economically valuable. So I think a lot of people, it's easy to just kind of lump it in with gambling, but this is a liquid market that gives people information in real time. I think there's a ton of economic value in that.
What about private markets? You wrote this op-ed in the Washington Post. So it was fascinating. You talked about this retail revolution, but the accredited investor rules that lock, you know, everyday investors out of Openai, out of Anthropic, and some of the biggest names in private markets that don't seem to want to go public right away. How are you positioned if those accredited investor rules change, and do you expect the administration to take that seriously?
I think that's one of the things we're going to be pushing for. I think right now we're in a bit of a weird state that we talked about a little bit earlier, where, you know, in crypto, for example, your customers are free to invest in thousands of meme coins, right? But then you have, you know, companies like SpaceX, Openai, Anthropic. You know, a lot of our customers are big believers in technology, in artificial intelligence, and things like electric vehicles. And I think the problem with artificial intelligence is a large part of that innovation is actually in private markets. You know, Openai, Anthropic, these companies that are making a lot of strides are still private.
Trump just said he's going to announce new tariffs at 1 p.m. So at 1 p.m., we have to see new tariffs.
And so the returns, and, you know, some of the private investors that are in these companies have been sitting on returns of 1,000x plus, are not available to retail. So we think the juxtaposition of that doesn't make sense. You know, you can invest in meme coins freely, but Openai and SpaceX and companies like Anthropic are too risky. So I think we need to fix that. What
does that look like? Is that a knowledge-based test? You know, if it's not a net worth test, what would you suggest in terms of adjusting that?
I think there's many solutions. I think that the platforms that offer access to these types of products to retail, platforms such as Robinhood, should have disclosure that actually communicates what level the different asset is at. So, if you have very little information about it and the company, if it's a private company, doesn't make certain disclosures, it could be one level. And then some companies actually make disclosures at public company level while they're private, and that would be a different tier. But I think my general principle is give consumers the information. Retail should have access to most assets that institutions have access to, and let people make their own decisions.
We'll have to leave it here, Vlad, but I do want to say you guys had this sort of, you called it an NBA post-game vibe for the earnings call. Do you expect others to start to do that? You were kind of trying to be Saquon with the sports conf. It was like a little bit of a broadcast thing. What was going on? Do you expect others to do that?
Well, we've gotten some feedback. I like watching the YouTube analysis of our earnings in the past because we get a lot of retail analysts that ask some good questions.
Yep.
And, it was a little dry, and I think we took that feedback seriously.
Yeah, you guys spiced it up. It was fun. So I hope we'll see if others follow in that direction. Vlad, it's great to see you. Thank you for being here and walking us through that.
Thank you as always.
Guys, back over to you.
He's crushing it. He's freaking crushing it, bro. He's doing his thing. 63.56 right here on Robinhood, 13.5%. Hims is up 10%. Hims is also crushing. I mean, 51 on Hims. I think there's a bit of a short squeeze going on Hims as well, but you get a lot of people excited in the name. And the volume's only 4 million on Hims, dude. This is what happens when you have a low float. I mean, 4 million shares moving this up 10%. I think that has to be some level of shorts potentially covering here. So we're getting a lot of momentum there. Nvidia 132, Tesla trying to go back to 350, up 3.5%. Robinhood 63.39 has not broke 66 yet, but I think there's still a shot today to get there. It got very close. I think it'll get there. Palantir now getting a little hit, 115, and then grab at 48.90 or $4.89. That's down 2% here right now. Okay, so this comment, newly elected Representative Julie Johnson just discloses dozens of new stock trades. She bought stock in Palantir on January 15th. I'm going to try to confirm this, but if this is true, then it's Doge, guys. It's Doge. It is absolutely Doge. That's what's playing out. Yeah, it's correct. Julie bought Palantir. So, okay, so we saw yesterday 2 other politicians bought Palantir. I'm forgetting their names, but one's a Democrat, one's a Republican. And then this lady, Julie Johnson. Do you guys know who she is? She sits on the House Committee on Homeland Security. She bought Palantir January 15th. You cannot tell me these politicians don't know something, because I don't think they saw Chad's videos and were like, oh, well, the ontology is the blah, blah, blah. No, dude, they know Trump, JD Vance, Peter Thiel, David Sachs. They're making the connections just like we're making the connections, and they're buying Palantir. So I think one of the reasons Palantir is up and it's holding these levels is because the narrative is that Doge is going to be a tailwind, like a real tailwind. And I think that's why it's getting some momentum right here. Palantir 116.41 down about 1% on the day. Government OS, yeah. Government OS. It is more likely than not continuingly going to be seen that there's a chance this is the operating system for the entire government. She was in your live chat. That would be funny if she was in there one day. But yeah, I think it's that simple. I said this yesterday on the show. I'm going to say it again. Like, Vision Pro, no one was going to use it. No one used it. Apple couldn't sell enough of it. It ended up being a flop. It was very simple to come to that conclusion. Sometimes it's not that hard. Sometimes it's not like you just, it's pretty simple. David Sachs, Peter Thiel, JD Vance, they know Palantir very well. Elon keeps saying we need technology to replace all the crappy stuff in the government. Palantir has the software. It's connected to the people that know about Palantir. There's a very good probability, in my opinion, that the government hits up Palantir and says, hey, can you do this, this, and this? And that doesn't have to be worth a lot of money to Palantir. That just has to be worth a lot in terms of brand equity, because if Palantir is the operating system that's saving a couple $1 trillion of money from the deficit, I mean, what is that worth brand-wise, right? I mean, how many countries across the world would be like, oh, Palantir helped balance the budget? You know, like that's like, dude, even if they did that for free, I think all that matters is that they are the ones getting being accredited for fixing a lot of these problems. So I think we got to keep following the story, but it seems more likely than not, as these politicians buy, that is the reason for why it's happening. Doug says, furthermore, Elon is going to recognize the Palantir engineers are legit and be more likely to do business with them. Yeah, that's another thing, dude. Elon doesn't want any bullshit. He wants people that can actually get the job done. And we know Palantir engineers are the best engineers on the planet. So when it comes to getting the job done, and they're forward deployed engineers, dude, they go to clients and they fix shit. Like that's their job. So it's like when you talk about people to go into a classified environment like the government, who else is better experienced than the Palantir government engineers or the Palantir government for deployed engineers to actually be able to execute and build something and make sure it's safe, governed, all that stuff? Like I would imagine it's Palantir. We just got to see if we get any news and updates on them actually working together. HIM's right here up 12.6. Again, getting a lot of momentum, 52.30. This one was at this one's up 100%. This was below 25 in the beginning of the year. So big run on this one. SMCI continues to go down 4%. I think it's going to need earnings. It's going to need NVIDIA earnings, and it's going to need the 10K before we see a reversal in SMCI. Seems like that's what we're going to need. Apple right here, 237. Oklow's up 0.2. Tempest is up another 7%. This Nancy stock, and then S&P 500, 604 currently right now. Tanner said, did you cover the $105 price target? I did not. We mentioned it, but let me actually read it right now because I have it pulled up. So Bernstein, 105 on Hood. Here's what they say. Crypto-powered financial ecosystem, Hood crushed Q4 earnings with its first $1 billion revenue quarter, led by 487% sequential quarter-over-quarter growth in crypto revenues. Q4 was the election quarter, and the big crypto inflection was expected. The market consensus here, which is scrambled post-election to ramp up estimates, is still missing the business model shifts and the exponential revenue pool expansion. Wow. Bernstein taking some shots at the other analysts. And to be honest, they kind of deserve to, because Bernstein was the first company to upgrade Robinhood to 230 back when it was like $10. So Bernstein's been on the story for a long time. Hood is building a global financial ecosystem across asset classes, equities, crypto, tokenized security, stablecoins, prediction markets, and leveraging blockchain rails to drive operating efficiency. We are further moving up our 2025 estimates and 2026 estimates, led by crypto growth strategy and upgrading our price target to 105. That's up from 51. With Hood now decisively turning around positive EPS, we change our valuation approach to pure earnings-based multiple, discarding sales multiple. So looking at PE versus price to sales. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. It looks like the prophecy for Hood has $100 written all over it. I mean, it really does look like that could be the case. And so now it's just a question of them executing against it. And we know, again, barring anything changing, we know the next few quarters are even if they're not as strong as this quarter, they're going to be good. And they guided for double-digit growth as long. Here's the biggest thing about Hood. We'll get deeper into the numbers later, but OpEx went down. Operating expenses were flat as top-line revenue went up. That's why they were able to produce the type of EPS that they produced. So, I mean, the ability for them to actually have that leverage to be able to make sure the fixed costs were sustained and the top-line revenue grew, I mean, that's leverage that's not easy to have. But they have it. And that's why Robin is getting rewarded right here. And their net income margins are almost 50%. I mean, it's just to get 50 cents of every dollar of revenue to be a profit is just incredible. What happened to Trade Desk? Okay, so they missed on guidance. They didn't miss on the top and the bottom, but they missed on guidance. And 83.75, they're down 31%. This is a premier company from my understanding. This is like an elite company. I don't know why the street's punishing it this much. I guess it was priced for perfection. That's the only thing I can kind of point to. I don't want to buy it yet, but it is on my radar now. There's not a lot of opportunities to get these types of names down this much. And whatever issue they're going through, I doubt it's an issue that's going to last for the next 5 years. I imagine, there's a founder who's running it. I did some work last night on the name. I like when there's a founder running a company. It tends to work out when you actually have a founder who's leading the ship. So Jeff Green is the name of the founder. I'm going to look into this one a lot more. I don't know enough about them outside of advertising technologies, what they do. I mean, we just got to see how bad the quarter was for the street to be dropping them 31%. But the fact that it's not catching a bid or recovering means that, yeah, there was something really bad for no one to step in 27 minutes into the market open and pick up this name. So this one definitely getting a little hit. I'll do some more research on them. NVIDIA, are we getting, yep, there we go. We're getting some momentum on NVIDIA. That's up 2%. Is SMCI moving with NVIDIA? SMCI is going the opposite. It's getting a little recovery as NVIDIA goes up, still down 2.7%, but NVIDIA right here at 134. We have not broke 135 on NVIDIA, I think, since the DeepSeek collapse. So that would be nice to see if we can get there as well. What else? What else? What else? What else do we have? Can we ring the bell for hymns? Yes, we can. I know we don't follow hymns that much as a channel, but we can definitely ring the bell for hymns. Here we go. Again, I'm happy for you guys in this one. I missed it. I just never cared too much about it. Never cared that much about it, but I'm happy for those that are in the name and are getting some love. Up 13% right here. Rocket Lab is flat. Bitcoin's flat. Nvidia again trying to get to 134. Hoodie is getting rejected right here. There's plenty of sellers at these levels. I do think we'll get a reversal, to be honest, because we already got to these levels. And I think this is kind of just algos taking some profits, sellers taking some profits. But I think I kind of think we end the day closer to 65, but we got to see. We got to see if that happens. Earnings today. So I will not have a market close today, or will I? No, I might. I think I might have. Yeah, no, I will have a market close today. I will. Market close is at what? 12:45. Yeah. I'll have a market close today. I will. Okay. So today, Coinbase, Palo Alto, Airbnb, DraftKings, Roku, Applied Materials, Twilio. So we got a lot of these names today that are going to be very important as well. And they're going to continue to carry on earnings. Isn't it crazy? I didn't get a cold in New Jersey, but I'm getting a cold in California. How crazy is that, bro? Freaking California, dude. I was warmer in New Jersey than I am in California. Okay, Grab. Let's talk Grab real quick. So Grab's down right now. I mean, that's reasonable. It was up a lot yesterday. But why was it up? If you look at the option volumes on Grab, it was a lot, dude. It was a lot. There's a bunch of different calls that were catching a bid, but this one caught my attention. The July call for $6, 48,000 in volume. I mean, dude, we have not seen 48,000 options traded on a $6 call for Grab in like a year. Like that happened yesterday. So the fact that happened, I think, was pretty aggressive. 25,000 for the $5 call, 9,000 for the $10 call, 2027, $5 was 2026, and then $6 call was 48,000. There's a lot more examples of these across the option chain, but whoever is buying is expecting a move. And I think the stock's gonna be volatile until we get Q4 earnings. Q4 earnings will determine if the move happens, and we're gonna need a really good quarter for the move to happen. But I'm expecting a good quarter, and if we get a good quarter, then it looks like that's why people are buying up these calls before the earnings. Tariq, thank you for the $20 super chat. Appreciate you taking Uber to SF and try Waymo. I should do that. Maybe I get to do that later throughout the week. Waymo is not available in Oakland, but hopefully if I get a chance to go to SF, then I would love to try it, dude. I actually want to see the experience because it would be a little precursor to what Robotaxi would look like. Miguel, thank you for becoming a channel member. Mr. Moral TV, thank you for the $5 super chat. What do you think of Serve? I like Serve. I don't have a position. I've heard of it as a name, and I think it's very interesting. I believe this is the company that took over Walmart's. No, that's Symbiotic. That's Symbiotic. This is different. This is the company that does the deliveries, right? Of your food, if I'm not wrong. They autonomously deliver the food. That might be Symbiotic. I might be getting those. I think it's Serve though. I'm pretty sure it's Serve. But yeah, I mean, I don't have a position in them. They're up 7%, but they are an exciting name when it comes to the overall robotics industry. And NVIDIA invested in them. Yeah, Delivery Rovers. Exactly. Delivery Rovers. That's what you got. AMD is, AMD's getting some love with NVIDIA. All right. AMD getting some love with NVIDIA right here. 62.50. My uncle said, take some cold medicine. I'm informing your mom otherwise. I don't think I'm sick, dude. It's just a runny nose. It's not, I don't have a fever. I'm not like shivering or anything like that. It's just a runny nose, which I haven't had in a while, to be honest. But cold Bay Area is doing it. All right, Robin, trying to get back to 63 right here. Tesla at 349. I'm going to take a look at some of the puts I sold on Hood and see where those are trading at right now. So I had $50 puts on Hood. Yeah, those are up 95%. I think we'll close them out. So I had 17 $50 puts. The average credit was $3.28. That means I got paid $328 per contract times 17, which means the total market value is about $5,500. The puts are down 91% today. They expire on the 28th of February. So I'm going to close them out right now. To close out a put, you buy the put back because you have to buy to close, and the total return on these will be $5,300. The collateral I used was 17 times 50 or 17 times 5,000. So that was 85,000 in collateral. So we have 5,300 over 85,000. That is a 6.2% return on my money by selling puts. And how long was this this was opened on January 29th, and we're closing it February 13th. So 6.2% in 2 weeks. Now, again, that's not usually normal. That doesn't tend to happen. But the reason this happened is because I was playing the volatility of earnings, and I had a feeling earnings would do well. And if earnings did do well, then there would be a good shot to really capitalize on it. But we're probably going to close that put today and capture that premium here right now. So you exercise and sell. No, you don't have to exercise anything. So you buy back the put. So I sold the put. I got paid $328 of premium. Now I have to close it. And to close it, you have to buy it back. And to buy it back, you have to give a little bit of premium. Or you wait until the expiration and it goes to zero, because unless Robinhood goes back to 50, which I think is going to be unlikely in the next 2 weeks, then basically the put goes to zero. I collect all the premium. But because there's still extrinsic value on the contract, aka time on the contract, I have to pay a little bit to get out of the contract. But I get to release all my collateral, right? So I get that 85,000 back, and then I can do whatever I want to do with it. Archer, is Archer up? Archer, wow, Archer 7.8. Yeah, Archer had dilution last Monday by $300 million, and the street was upset about that. But it looks like the street doesn't care anymore. The street also didn't care about CPI and PPI. Guys, I found out some stuff about CPI. Dude, I think that CPI print we got yesterday was a nothing burger. I think it was a nothing burger. The reason for that is because the majority of it came from Shelter, as you can see on the screen right here. Shelter is lagging by 8 months. In particular, what's also lagging is the new tenant, the Cleveland Fed new rent index. I mean, this thing is obviously going to bring Shelter down. We had Chris yesterday on the channel also talk about how he's seeing a lot of data in the South on rents coming down. Like, Shelter's coming down. This is one of those things that's a little annoying right now because the Fed is not real time, because for some reason they think looking 8 months backwards is the right way to determine fiscal policy. But nonetheless, like, this is inevitably going to catch up. And when it catches up, we're going to get a decline in inflation. As long as energy doesn't tick up and tariffs don't tick up, which that's based on what Trump's going to do. We'll find out. But as long as those are okay, I mean, the 10-year even is down today right here from 4.6. So you're getting a little bit of relief there. I think CPI is going to be a nothing burger. I think CPI is going to be a nothing burger. Heavy on the avocado. Thank you for the $20 super chat. First, Pouncer, now Hood, LFG. What's next? Well, look, first of all, thank you for the super chat. I hope Grab is up next. I don't think it's going to be a Pouncer or Robinhood type of move. I don't think it's going from like 5 to 60, but my price target is 10. And so if it can go from 5 to 10, I think it would be a good return. In terms of what's like the next explosive stock like Pouncer or Robinhood that goes from 6 to 60, or in Pouncer's case, 6 to 100, I don't know, dude. I really don't know. I think for the past couple of months, we've been searching for it. NVIDIA back at 134, but I don't know. I can't find it. Rocket Lab already kind of did its thing. Rocket Lab probably has more room to go, but it kind of already made the big 5X move. HIMS already made the move as well. You know, HIMS probably goes higher, but it kind of made the move. In terms of finding a stock that right now is like $10 or less, that's going to go to 60, 70. I don't know. I don't know what that's going to be. I just don't know. Nubank, could it be new? Well, see, the thing about, I think Nubank's going to do well, but for Nubank to go from 13, 5X is what? 65? That's good math, right? 13 times 5, 65. You guys should be proud of me. I don't know. 65, Nubank's a $64 billion market cap. So Nubank would have to become a $300 billion company. I don't see that happening that easily. Not in the next 18 months, because Pouncer, Robinhood, or give it 24 months. Pouncer, Robinhood, Rocket Lab, they all made their moves within 24 months. So if we're finding the next Pouncer, Robinhood, you need 24 months for a stock to basically 5, 6X, which is insane to think of, right? That's like, that's not an expectation we should have for every company. We got very, very lucky finding those names and analyzing them, but I don't think Nubank does that. I don't think it would be Nubank. Archer, I could be Archer. I just feel like Archer's on the right trajectory. It was $3, now it's 10, so it's already done the 3X. It's got another 3X to go to kind of really prove it's that name. Archer's just pre-revenue, dude. They're pre-revenue, pre-earnings. So maybe if they start reporting that stuff and like the street starts looking at the numbers, they can give them a multiple. Granted, Oklo is also pre-revenue and earnings, and Oklo went from 6 to 50. So, I mean, it is possible. It is very possible. What about SoFi? I don't know about SoFi. I think there's a lot of you guys in the chat yesterday were mentioning SoFi. It was kind of funny because when I went to see Vlad, he was like, "So, what about SoFi?" And I was like, "Vlad, on your Robinhood stream, we had so many people in the chat saying Anthony Noto should do the same thing. He should talk to retail. He should have retail on the call, but he's not going to do it because he's Anthony Noto and SoFi sucks and yada yada." And he just started laughing. Because Vlad's cognizant of SoFi. Vlad knows SoFi, right? Like the way he found out about Tanner was through SoFi, and he always jokes that he kind of like got Tanner to convert a little bit to Robinhood. So he keeps up with the times. He's very active on Twitter. He sees everything. Like he's like, "Oh yeah, I saw you did a podcast with Brett at Figure." I was like, "Dude, this guy like really sees everything on Twitter. Either I show up at the top of his feed, or he's like actually, at the end of the day, just scrolling through everything and getting updated." But he's aware, and that's why he's the type of CEO founder that he is, because he actually listens and sees what the hell is going on. I mean, the only reason they knew to reach out to me back in February of 2024 was because they were seeing my tweets, and probably Vlad was seeing the tweets, right? Not just the social media team. I mean, Vlad is the social media team, quite frankly. I mean, he sees everything. And so he's able to kind of understand the narrative and the message and how people are thinking of Hood. And so when it comes to SoFi, it was funny because on the stream yesterday, so many of you in the comments were like, this is why SoFi is SoFi and Robinhood is Robinhood. And I can't disagree. Now, granted, are they different businesses? Yes. And I think SoFi will still end the year closer to 25 or 20 to 25. But will Anthony Noto ever get Tanner on a call? I don't think so. I don't think SoFi's ever going to do that. And I think a lot of retail investors are pissed off about that, dude, because it's really easy, dude. Like I pulled up to their headquarters yesterday. We sat down. They gave me a tour of the office. We talked for 5 minutes on the interview. Then we talked off camera, and that was it. It wasn't so complicated. We didn't have to go through legal or some of this or that. There was no lawyers there. It was just like, I mean, Vlad was just like, yeah, come through. Let's do a little interview. It was very simple. It was so informal. It was so natural. It wasn't like, and I feel like SoFi's so rigid and stuck up and everything needs to be tit for tat. And then it ends up just leading to something that's not that natural. And so I don't know. I don't know if SoFi's ever going to have that type of tech company feel outside of just the growth, but like the way they interact with shareholders, given a majority of their shareholders are retail. I don't know if it's ever going to happen. But Robinhood's doing it. And that's why Robinhood's definitely getting a lot of this momentum as well. Evan, what's up? Shout out to you. Congrats on the week commit. Thank you, Evan. Also, congrats to Evan. He asked a question as well, along with Tanner and Roy. So Evan, right? Evan is one of the biggest stock market accounts on Twitter. 500,000 followers. Guess what? Vlad says, "Hey, Evan, want to ask a question on the earnings call?" The JP Morgan guys don't have 500,000 followers. Maybe they have a $500,000 salary, but the point is it's like, I quite frankly, I'd rather have 500,000 followers than $500,000 as a salary. Like the influence to me will pay eventually more than just the salary that in California is going to get taxed at 50% anyway. But the point is, Vlad recognizes Evan has influence. Evan should be on the call. Evan actually knows what he's talking about. He's been following Robinhood. Let's invite him to the freaking call, And it's like, will a company like SoFi do that? I don't know. And if they're not going to embrace retail as much, and Vlad said that on CNBC today, he's like, more companies have to embrace retail because why not? It's like, it's not like JP Morgan's that much smarter than retail. In fact, JP Morgan has had like a $20, $30 price target on Hood the whole time. So JP Morgan's got Robinhood wrong. So I think just the elevation of retail on the institutional playing field and leveling that playing field, I think has been really important. And that's what Robinhood's been doing. Pouncer right here, 116 grab, getting hit down 2.3%, 488. Again, was at 510 yesterday, now at 480. Tesla 352, that's breaking out nicely. And then Robinhood looking like it's trying to go back to 64, 63, 65 right here on the day. Is HIMS still moving? HIMS are we at 53? Wow. 53 on HIMS, up 15%. That's a big one. That's a big one. Reddit, is the dip gone on Reddit? The dip is gone on Reddit. Yeah, dude, Reddit's a different animal. People are really thinking Reddit is going to be one of those companies that has massive momentum when it comes to their data moat for AI, and they're growing. They grew 70% and they're profitable. Like, people don't care about the multiple on Reddit. The growth is there and they're buying into it. That 15% decline was erased in 24 hours, less than 24 hours. And the only reason they missed was because of users going down, which is not a good reason to miss. So, or not a good reason for the stock to drop 15%. So Reddit getting some momentum there. Why is Tesla up today? Okay, so there was some news on Tesla. So it looks like Tesla is going to be getting a contract from the government. and that contract is going to be a $400 million contract for a armored Cybertruck from the military. The U.S. government is planning to award Tesla a $400 million contract to buy armored Teslas. The State Department's most recent procurement forecast updated in December 2024 names Tesla as the recipient of the largest projected contract. The anticipated award is 9/30/2025 with a 5-year contract length. So $400 million over 5 years, you would get armored Teslas for the U.S. government. Now, before a lot of people say, oh, this is why Elon is working in the White House so he can get these contracts, this was decided December 2024 underneath the Biden administration. So this was not, this is what Elon said last night, because he saw that people were saying that the only reason Tesla's getting this contract is because he's buddy with Trump. This was decided during the Biden administration. So Elon's argument is like, this is not because of Trump. So Sawyer right here says, it's worth noting that this procurement forecast was revised in December 2024 when Biden was still president. The Tesla line item was last modified on December 13th. So $400 million is not like the biggest contract in terms of Tesla that does like $100 billion in revenue, but it's nice to, I mean, they haven't, to my understanding, I don't know if the government has paid for Teslas before. Maybe I'm wrong on this because I haven't followed it that closely, but I don't think they definitely haven't paid for armored Cybertrucks. And so the fact that they're doing that, definitely bullish for Tesla, right? And so I think that's overall not the worst thing in the world. And that's why I think Tesla's getting a little bit of rebound. Also, I mean, Tesla, got to 328, probably was oversold. Market's coming back, and you're seeing a little bit of a bounce right here up at 5%. The UAE has Cybertrucks for their police. Wow, I didn't know that. Okay. There you go. So the UAE has it as well. Elon didn't deny this. Elon confirmed this yesterday on Twitter. He didn't deny that he was denying that Trump gave him the contract, but he did not deny the actual $400 million for Cybertrucks. Maybe I'm wrong, but from what I was reading last night, Elon quoted Sawyer and said that this was underneath the Biden administration. So I'm pretty sure he's confirming the contracts more than anything. Trump said no announcements today. Oh, so we have no more tariffs? Okay, cool. In the morning, it was reported that we're going to get tariffs. It looks like I guess we're not. Tariffs delayed. All right, that's it. Well, that's probably another reason Tesla's pumping a little bit, or the whole market's getting a little bit of pump off that. If there's no tariffs. Nvidia, let me check resistance to 135, 50 cents away. Dude, Nvidia, what a dip this year. What a freaking dip. This was, I think, the dip of the year so far in 2025. It has to be. It has to be the dip of the year. 140 to 113, back to 135. 135, 480,000 shares. A little bit of a resistance there, but let's see if it can happen. Amit, I bought SMCI at 40. What are your thoughts about it? Is it a hold? I got out of it at 42 yesterday. And the reason I got out of it, quite frankly, is not even because of the profits. I was really upset they didn't actually file their earnings or their 10K. And maybe that's a stupid reason to be upset, but it just rubbed me the wrong way. I don't like that. So yeah, it's a hold if they file their stuff on time, which I'm pretty sure they're going to do. I just didn't want to be around to wait. And if NVIDIA crushes earnings because SMCI is getting a ramp up because of Blackwell. So I don't think this is the time to get super scared of SMCI, especially if you bought it at 40. I mean, the stock's at 38. You're not really bag holding. But if they don't file their stuff, or if they don't file their forms, or they don't keep up with the growth that NVIDIA is putting up, I think it tanks. But I don't think neither of those things are going to happen. I think they're going to prove they're not a fraud. And I think they're going to prove that they ramp up with Blackwell. And I think the thing gaps up to 50 when it happens. I just didn't want to be there to see it happen, but I think it will happen. And so I wouldn't be too scared of it. Yeah, February 25th. You got to ignore the movement until February 25th. I just had to pay for all these Ubers, dude. So I saw 3,000 in profit. I was like, you know what? I got to pay for some of these Ubers. Dude, I'm going to be back in San Francisco in March again, because Robinhood's having their gold event. Instead of doing it in New York, they're doing it in San Francisco. And so I think I'm going to be back to the Bay Area in a couple weeks, which is crazy because, I mean, look, I like the Bay Area, but it's a long flight. I don't like it. Just, it's not hot. It's not hot, right? It's not like it's a little vacation from cold New Jersey. So I'm going to be here a lot later throughout the year. NVIDIA 134.5, Robinhood trying to get back to 64, Google 185, Grab 490, Palantir. Look at that. Back to green on Palantir, 117. Back to green on Palantir. When Houston meetup, hopefully in the summer or like the spring. Also, Vlad said the France event is in June. So I think that I'm going to do the UK meetup in June. I think that's when it's going to happen because I wanted to coincide it with the France meetup. So yeah, for all the Brits, for all the people across the pond, it'll likely be June, more likely than not. So that'll be fun. Admit you own Kohler? No, I don't own Kohler. Buy a first class. I might have to buy first class when I go to the UK, dude. But it's not going to be in me, dude. It's not going to be in me to do it. It's not going to be in me. I'm going to be thinking of all the Robinhood and Palantir I could have bought with that first class ticket. Like, I say I want to fly first class, but then when I actually have to pay for it, I'm not. I know myself. I know I'm going to be like, I'm going to look in the mirror like, who am I? Who am I? Am I really about to fly first class? Like, I'm such a fucking punk. And then I would be like, yeah, this is stupid. Guys, I almost didn't do the market open today, dude. I woke up and you guys can tell, a little bit of a sniffle right here. And I just woke up. It was one of those things where you wake up and you're like, oh my gosh, dude. This is like, I haven't felt like this in a while. Just like, not sick, but just like one of those days where you just want to keep sleeping. Usually I wake up like an hour, 2 hours before the market open, and maybe I'm a little sluggish out of bed, but I get up and I get ready. Today I was just like almost paralyzed, bro. I was like, I can't get out of the bed. Oh, I got to tell you guys what happened yesterday, but I ended up doing the market open. A, because I love you guys. B, because Robinhood just had earnings. We have to talk about it. And C, because I'm not a punk. You got to weather through that stuff. So last night, okay, I slept at 9 p.m. I slept relatively early. Him's right here at 54. Robin right here at 64 as well. I slept at 9 p.m., right? And then I wake up and it's 1:48. Okay. Now it's 1:48 a.m. But because my mind is in East Coast time and I'm constantly doing this 3-hour freaking like reversal in my head to like figure out like East Coast, West Coast, yada yada, because I have a bunch of meeting schedules. So I'm like, is this East Coast, West Coast, whatever? I see 1:48. I jump out of bed. My heart starts beating because I'm like, 1:48 is 4:48 Eastern. I just missed the market open. I just missed Robinhood earnings. I just missed the call. 4:48 is like the day's done. I'm like, it's almost 5 p.m. I'm like, did I just sleep for 22 hours? Like, did I really and I'm like walking across the Airbnb mindlessly. I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? I'm like just checking my laptop. I'm like, did the earnings come out? And then I take a second. I'm like, hold on. It's 1:48. And I look out the window and it's dark as hell outside. I'm like, it's 1:48 a.m., bro. And I go back to bed and I'm so upset because I literally almost had a heart attack, bro. I'm like, did I sleep through everything? Like I slept through the Palantir's Ask Me Anything, the Alex Karp thing. Like I didn't get to stream the market open. I slept through that. I slept through Robinhood earnings. Like I had to sign into their conference link to be able to ask a question. I had to get that set up. Did I even get the link to ask the question? Like everything was running through my head at 1:48 a.m. because I thought it was 4:48 p.m. So yeah, that was the experience last night. And then today I could barely wake up, but I found a way to wake up. So it was just wild last night, dude. I legit thought I slept through everything, but thankfully we did it. But again, that 3-hour transition, dude, it's just weird, bro. That's why, as much as I love California, I don't want to constantly keep coming back here. It's annoying. I don't have my setup. I'm not in my studio. I'm in an Airbnb that doesn't have heat for some reason. And then it's like you're constantly trying to do this 3-hour time transition in your head. And so it just messes with your routine, But it was worth it. Obviously, the trip was worth it, and it was super fun over the past couple of days getting to meet everybody. Netflix right here, 1,039. Shopify, 124. Wow, Shopify recovering from everything it lost the other day. Amazon, 229. Google, 184. Google not getting any love off this Apptronic partnership, dude. Nothing. Google's not getting any love off this Apptronic partnership at all. At all. Quit the booze. I have not drank or smoked at all in California. First of all, I don't drink and smoke in general. Second of all, I am not in my Airbnb drinking and smoking. I don't do that, dude. I'm not the type of guy to drink by myself or smoke by myself. I don't do that. So it has nothing to do with that. It's just everything. It has to do with the fact that I'm still jet lagged, quite frankly, a couple of days later, because I haven't really been sleeping that much at night because you have to wake up so early to do the market open because it's 3-hour time delay, So, and then, we're traveling the whole day. So it's just a lot of exhaustion and stuff. I think that's what kind of led to it happening. But it's all worth it, dude. It's all freaking worth it. Because when Hood puts up a quarter like this, like you weather through the storm and you just realize that this is why you do it. This is why you cover these companies, to see these moments, to see this stuff happening. Tempest jumped from 77 to 84. Goodness freaking gracious, dude. This stock, it's up 13%. Nancy struck gold on this. Absolutely struck gold. He is just saying this because his mom watches the stream. Dude, my mom pulled up to the stream last night on the she's definitely not watching right now because she's probably at work, but I was like, she texted me her portfolio because my mom is loaded up on Robinhood, dude. She has a lot of Robinhood. So does my sister. So does my dad. So it was, it was a good day for them yesterday. But she texted me her portfolio, and I mentioned on the stream, I was like, oh, my mom just texted me her portfolio. And then my mom texted me back. She's like, stop talking about me. like you're watching? Like you're actually watching the stream? And so it was funny because then all you guys in the chat were saying hello to my mom. So she was actually watching last night. Palantir, are we at 118? We're back to 118. There you go. Back to 118. All right, let me check resistance at 119. If it's not obvious by now, I think Palantir wants 120. Palantir 119. Resistance is 66,812 shares. 66,812. And then Nvidia is getting close to 135. There's 480,000 shares there, 11 cents away. Palantir, if it gets the volume, it's going to break 119. That's not a lot. That's not a lot of shares stopping it. And then Robinhood's still holding 64 currently right now. Hims is up 20% in a day. Yeah. No, this is not all-time highs on Palantir. We hit 118.66, so this isn't all-time highs yet on Palantir. 119 is going to be, or above 118.66 is all-time highs. Hims is not stopping. 55.74. That is not stopping. And Tesla, dude, nice recovery on Tesla, up 5.5%. Not a bad recovery on Tessie. I was showing my uncle your stream, and he actually told me that he met you at the Palantir convention in DC. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I met a bunch of people at that convention. That was great. There was a message I got last night, and it actually made me kind of emotional. There's a guy. I mean, this is where you realize, like, this is where this work actually matters. So this person said, he might be watching the stream right now, so hello to you. He says, hi, Amit. I came from Nepal 3 years ago through a diversity visa, which is a lottery and very rare to get, with my wife and a kid. Now we are 4 as a family, as we have a new son now. If you're watching this, congrats on the new son. We both work at an Amazon warehouse that pays $18 per hour since the last 3 years. Now our portfolio has grown to $160,000, including 401k. Big part of that came from Robinhood and Palantir. I mostly listened to your open and close market at work. I sold my Palantir because I could not risk losing the big money I had. I had 1,100 shares of Hood and some Grab, around 6,000 shares. I'm grateful to your insights about the markets. We both contribute in our Roth IRA as well. And they said, whenever you read this, thank you so much for what you do, and I love you. He didn't say his name, so the person who sent that, first of all, thank you for sending that message. But it did make me emotional last night, dude, because again, this is the point of the markets. The point of the markets is that if you have a job that pays you $18 an hour, that is not going to create financial freedom, especially if you have a family of 4, you have expenses. So the only way to get to that level where you can actually do different things in life without just having to worry about paying the bills, which is the goal for everybody, to get some level of freedom so we can pursue other things besides just having to worry about paying rent and the mortgage and the bills and the car payment, all that stuff, is through having a compounding asset that actually can compound. And there's really 2 ways that retail has access to, or 3 ways, I guess: crypto, real estate, and the stock market. Crypto's too risky, in my opinion, for the average person. Real estate is a bit capital intensive. You need money to make money, and it's just a little tougher. Wall Street is the only place where you can put up 10, 20,000, which in the grand scheme of things, people can save up 10, 20,000, and a stock can actually or company can execute to the point where a stock reflects that execution. And you get a company like Palantir or Robinhood that retail primarily got into when it was trading much lower than what it is today, and change your entire financial destiny. It's like this matters more than those messages matter more than anything in the world. And that puts a lot of pressure on me, because I take this very seriously, not only for my own portfolio and for me being able to, be able to analyze stocks, and I'm not going to be perfect, and I'm definitely going to get things wrong. But when you really deeply follow a company and you like obsess over it, and Palantir and Hood, especially last year, it became an obsession. And that obsession can hopefully lead to quality analysis that other people can capitalize on as well. That's what it's meant for, dude. And maybe grabs the next one. Maybe I'm feeling the same type of obsession I feel with it, dude. I told you guys the story. My mom last week, she texted. She's like, "Can you come grab some groceries out of the car?" And I swear to God, I was like, "Did my mom just text me some due diligence about Grab?" I'm like looking at it, and then I'm like, "Dude, you idiot!" She said, "Grab the groceries." She's not telling you about Grab's grocery delivery business. It's like that level of obsession. When you get it, it becomes like, and then you never know what happens to the stock, because like the markets are the markets, and there's a little bit of luck involved in this as well. But getting so obsessed with it and trying to get it right obviously can help change other people's lives. And that's why I take it really seriously. And that's why I don't get into every penny stock that some of you guys mentioned in the chat. Cause like, you just never know. You can't trust these things. And what I say has an influence. There's thousands of people watching. If I say something and people buy it up, like, it's obviously never financial advice, but in the back of your head, you have to be a little careful here. And you have to do the opposite of what Kramer does, which is just say whatever the hell he wants and he flip-flops the next day. And then it's just pure entertainment. Like, this is not just pure entertainment. I'm trying to add some level of quality to this and make sure there's something meaningful here, So, those messages are the most important messages to me. And it really does mean a lot. NVIDIA right here, 134.5, Tesla 355, Tempest 82, HIMS 54, Palantir 117, getting rejected every time at that 118 level. Robinhood getting rejected at 63.50 right here at 62.78 here right now. Amit, that's why I personally appreciate that you hold a healthy tension to be positive and yet to be clear about the risk. Yeah, and look, it's really easy to just be bullish on everything, dude. It's really easy to be bullish on everything because, like, if there's a fan of color, I mean, there's a bunch of you that are fans of color, right? I don't know enough about this company. I know they bought some Bitcoin. I know they're up from 50 cents. They're now at $2, but it's a market cap of 526 million. Like, I can't in good faith, be like, yeah, this is the one. It's going to go to $5. It's going to go from 220 to 5 and we're going to double our money, guys. Let's get into it. Like, and there's channels that do that. Like, there's a lot of channels that just like, that's their brand. It's like they find the next little thing that has a low float and they pump into it. They have a bunch of followers and everyone pumps it up and then it becomes a pump and dump. It's like, that's not real. That's not authentic. And like, there are some opportunities where those names can explode and maybe there is some asymmetry that you really need to take a look at. But the far majority of times it's BS. And it's just being sure you can filter through that. And that doesn't mean you're always going to get it right. I will get things wrong, but it's just like, you can't get it so egregiously wrong when it's so obvious to not even be touching some of these names. There's names you're going to get wrong where it was pretty obvious you should have touched it and you were a little too hesitant. That's fair. But when it's obvious to just stay away, you kind of just stay away. And then if it goes up, all right, if people make money, great. But it's just not worth the risk sometimes on these right now. How many shares at 118 on Palantir? Well, we already cracked 118. So now 119 has 65,000 shares. 118 we already cracked. So 118 has nothing. 119 is what we got to get over. SMCI is at 40 as well. Yeah, SMCI right here is at 40. Know anything about Vertiv? So the Vertiv CEO was on CNBC yesterday. I mean, he was pretty bullish. Again, the stock is down from the NVIDIA decline on DeepSeek. I think eventually it recovers. I don't know enough about I don't know enough about the core business. Like, I know it's about data centers, but I don't know exactly what it's about data centers for. Price of sales of 5 doesn't seem that expensive. Market cap of 40 billion, I think, is relatively reasonable for their revenues. PE of 34 also is not that crazy to me, especially after the 30% decline, but I have to do a little bit more work into them to see if we've got something here. All right, Intel's getting close, or not Intel. NVIDIA's getting close. Dude, Intel was at 134.93. That would be exciting. They make data centers a lot more effective. Yes, that is also part of that thesis as well. Anduril, the Archer Anduril pump is a real thing. I mean, as soon as that announcement came out, I thought it was a big deal. That was about a month ago. I got to go deeper into it, dude. I told you guys I've been thinking of Archer a lot more. I've been thinking about selling puts on it. I just haven't had the time to like really sit down and look at it. Again, the companies I like to look at have earnings more than not. This one doesn't have earnings yet. I know they have a backlog of $6 billion in demand. I get it. So I got to take some time to look at it. But it seems like a quality company, first of all, because the founder was Brett, who I just met a couple of days ago, and he's a rock star. And so I think that the leadership of the company is very strong. But also the Anduril partnership is a real thing. I mean, partnering with Anduril is no joke. and Anduril has been killing it. So I like that that they're working with Anduril. Is there any way to invest in Figure AI at this point? I don't think so, because their next round of fundraising, which I think is going to happen soon. I don't know when it's going to happen, but I do think they're going to get ready to raise, because they need to raise money because they need to build robots and they need money. Here's what Brett posted yesterday. He said, it's interesting to see that last month Figure was the 9th most in-demand company in the secondary markets. Investor demand for Figure is off the charts. I've never had more inbound in my life. So you can invest in Figure on the secondary markets through platforms like Hive, but getting into the next round, literally like on the cap table, is probably not going to happen. But you know, if you really want exposure, the secondary markets do have Figure. Like, I don't know what it's trading at, but it's it was valued at 2.6 billion in February. You're probably gonna have to pay like 10, 15 billion to be able to get access to it. But if you think it's going to $1 trillion, you know, there is an opportunity to get access to it. But the point is, I think they're going to raise soon. And the people that are going to be investing are like Tiger Global, the next fund round raise. That's my opinion. I think it's going to be like really, really big growth funds inside of large institutions that are putting money in. I don't think it's going to be your mom and pop VC fund, because now I think Figure needs $4 or $5 billion to be able to scale and build the amount of robots they want to build, especially to compete with Tesla. So the next raise they're going to do, I think, is going to be aggressive, and they're going to get a lot of big money from institutions to get there. There's never anybody selling on Hive, Amit. No one's giving up their shares. The most traded assets on Hive that I've seen are Databricks, Perplexity, and OpenAI. Those three are very liquid. Figure might not be as liquid. I haven't checked in a couple months, but OpenAI, people are trading it back and forth. Databricks, people are trading it, and then Perplexity, people are trading it. Also, Databricks just partnered with SAP. I saw that announcement today. So I think Databricks is gearing up for a pretty big IPO as well. I think they're going to try to go for 100 billion, dude. They're trying to get. I mean, they're looking at Palantir's valuation. They're probably gonna comp it to Palantir. And when you're an investment bank and you're thinking of a valuation, you just look at what the market's giving these stocks in the same sort of vertical, and that's how you get comp. So Palantir's at 250 billion. I think Databricks gets close to 80, 90 billion on the IPO. Right now, they're worth 62 billion. There's their partnership with SAP this morning. So I think it's going to be a big IPO. I think it's going to be a big one. Now, does that mean that it's going to be the most cheapest IPO? I don't know, but they're going to have to show some growth, and if there is demand, then they'll probably see it get momentum. Anduril's also traded on the secondary markets. I mean, for those that want to get into Anduril, you can get there. You're going to have to pay a little bit of a premium, but if you don't want to wait till IPO, there is a chance to get it on the secondaries. SMCI right here up 3%. So that's rebounding with NVIDIA. That's nice. NVIDIA, again, did not break 135 yet. Archer's at 1016, SoFi 1519, AMD 113, Hood at 6275, Google 186, Grab is at 490. Big Bear was at 10. Now it's at 950, down 2.1%. Where do you buy on the secondary market? Hive is the platform I look at, but if you just type in on Google secondary market IPOs, you'll find a bunch of platforms. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of brokers essentially that sell these shares on the secondaries. You're just gonna have to pay a premium. That's all. Speaking of IPOs, Amit, are you watching Sale? Is Sale IPOing today? Sale? Yeah, they're IPOing today. What does Sale do? SailPoint? What is this company? SailPoint? Software company. Enterprise security. Are they cybersecurity? Yeah, I think these guys are cybersecurity. SailPoint is a leading provider of identity security for the modern enterprise. Through AI-driven identity security, we enable our customers to streamline processes at scale to drive efficiencies and add value. Maybe it's a type of cybersecurity. All right, we got an IPO happening today. I know nothing about this company, so I guess we'll see what it looks like. Market cap is 12 billion, so they're going to IPO at 12 billion, 500 million shares outstanding. I'm not in the IPO. I don't know about the company, but I hope it does well because we need IPOs to do very well. The more IPOs that do well, the more we'll have more companies end up going public. 63.50 on Hood, trying to make that recovery back to 64. I still think we get close to 65 again today. Maybe 66. But it is getting up there from the low 62s. They're like the Palantir of cybersecurity. Interesting. All right, we'll take a look at SailPoint. I didn't even know what the company was, so That's the other good thing about IPOs, dude. It introduces everyone to a company, you know? And like the best marketing for your stock is when you go public because people actually have a chance to look at it. And then if it's interesting, people might buy in. Amid is 20% of my portfolio in Palantir too much? I mean, look, it depends on how bullish you are, right? I mean, I know people that are 100%, 50%, 70%. Like obviously Palantir going up is probably taking up a majority of people's portfolios given the recent run. I personally don't think it's too much. I think it's a generational company. And if you got in very low and you're holding on, no, I think 150. Look, at the end of the day, 20 stocks with $1,000 in each of them is not going to move a portfolio, but 2 stocks with 10,000 in each will. And so if you're planning to hold Palantir for a long time, 1/5 of the portfolio being in it, I don't think that's crazy. Especially if the other 80% is, you know, more diversified and more safer if you think Palantir is kind of your big risk one. Did we get to 135 yet on NVIDIA? Oh, wow. Holy crap. There you go. NVIDIA, we got to ring the bell. Busted through those 500,000 shares at 135 for NVIDIA. There you go. 135.65. I love it. Dude, we're only $5 away from 140. 140 was when this thing collapsed. We are only tea time with NVIDIA. We are only $5 away. I mean, $5 away is it looks like the momentum's there. Like, why wouldn't it get there, right? The whole DeepSeek narrative became pretty stupid. Everyone's realizing it's kind of dumb, and it could happen pretty soon. It could happen. Now you're going to get FOMO. Now you're going to get buyers coming in. Now you're going to get people saying, oh, man, why didn't I buy a generational company like it? Like all the concerns about DeepSeek have basically gone to nothing. Let me check resistance at 136 and see what we're looking at. 136. It's getting close, dude. It's already at 135.80. 136 is 137,000 shares, which is 3x lower than what the resistance was at 135. CrowdStrike all-time high? Holy crap, dude. Wow. 450 or 441. PE of 871. At least Palantir's PE is 625 for everyone who wants to complain about the valuation. Like, goodness gracious. 440 on CrowdStrike. Look, founder-led company. Founder-led company. This is one that I really wish I went heavier on, but I didn't have the money. If I had the money when it tanked to 200, I remember arguing on Twitter with people saying CrowdStrike is dead. Like it was a good week of arguments, and I was actually engaging with the arguments going back and forth. I'm like, I don't know that much about CrowdStrike, but I know if the world shut down because they had a little bug, they're probably an important company, and they're probably not going to lose a lot of customers from that, especially if it wasn't criminal negligence. It was like literally a software engineer pushed the wrong update, you know? And 200 to 441 in about 5 months. I mean, for those that loaded up during the time, congrats. CrowdStrike really catching a bait. We have Palo Alto today, so that's going to be important. Palo Alto will probably determine some of the growth for CrowdStrike. Are we at 136? No way. Holy freaking crap. She wants 140. She wants 140. We got to ring the bell for 136. Dude. Wow. All right. What's better than 136? 137. 137 is 95,000 shares. The walls get smaller and smaller for every dollar. Jensen, man, he's doing his thing. He's doing its thing. It's pretty exciting. 136 on NVIDIA. Dude, that's a nice move. So SMCI has got to be moving on this. It's got to be moving on this. SMCI, yeah, up 4%. All right, there you go. So SMCI is moving as well. Hood 6340, Google 186. Google's really not getting any love for investing. Probably, I don't know how much. The full raise of 350 million. Let's just say Google invested 100 million. If Google's investing 8 figures, 9 figures into a robotics company, and the street's not caring about that, that means the street doesn't really think Google's going to be a player, at least for now, in robots. I thought Google would get a little bit more love on that news. I mean, Google's going after it. Also, Apple, the news yesterday broke from a really well-known Apple analyst that they're getting into humanoids. And Chris Camillo also posted yesterday that he has very good sources confirming Apple is legitimately thinking of getting into humanoids, which I think is very well. First of all, they have to. I mean, they don't really have any other way to grow. We've been having this debate for a long time. Apple needs an S curve, and it's not AirPods. It's not the iPhone. It has to be something different. But is Apple really going to make the robot that everyone wants to have in their house? NVIDIA 136.4. I don't know. I don't know if that's the case. Google's investing in Apptronic for those who missed that news. Apptronic, I'll put the link in the chat right here. This was the press release. They raised $350 million. I don't know how much Google invested in them, but I mean, it's Google, right? They're a big company, so I imagine they're participating heavily in this. But the street kind of doesn't care right here. So here was the news yesterday from Apple. Apple is exploring both humanoid and non-humanoid robots for its future smartphone ecosystem, and these products are still in the early proof of concept stage internally. While the industry debates the merits of humanoid versus non-humanoid design, supply chain checks indicate that Apple cares more about how users build perception with robots than their physical appearance. So Apple uses anthropomorphic, I was never going to get that word right, instead of humanoid, implying sensing hardware and software services as the core technology. Many projects never progress beyond proof of concept. The Apple Car is probably the most notable example of a project that got stuck at this stage. But this analyst thinks that the supply chain checks seem rather bullish for humanoids to become a thing. And this is one of the best analysts for Apple. He's been analyzing the company for like 20 years. Yeah, I mean, robots, seems like Apple cares about them now. They need a vector of growth. And the largest TAM in the world, as Derek talked about this morning, is labor, which means robots could be that entry point for Apple. Palantir right here, 118.22, 118.6 is our all-time high. So we're about 40 cents away from cracking that all-time high. Tesla 356, amazing reversal on Tesla, up 6% right here. NVIDIA trying to get 137. And then Apple, almost back to 240, dude. Almost back to 240. Chris says Apple will break out with healthcare. They have millions of people using tools that can be healthcare tools. This will come and drive them up. I think healthcare is a good vertical for them. That's one I've always been bullish on when it comes to their services. But I do think Apple, if they built a robot, like if you believe that everyone's going to have a robot in their home, like Apple's a brand a lot of people trust. Like I feel like I could trust an Apple robot because I use my phone, my Mac, my iPad every day, right? So it's like if it's an Apple robot in your home and it's kind of an extension of your ecosystem inside of your Apple products already, maybe there's a world where that actually does make a lot of sense. Money market outflows we get on Thursday, not today, or Thursday after the bell. So after the bell today, when I do the close, we'll figure it out for the money market outflows. Neil, thank you for the $20 super chat. Appreciate you. Appreciate all your wisdom. Thank you, Neil, for being here. And thank you for the $20 super chat. And hopefully you are enjoying the show. So thank you for being here. Oracle of Oahu, thank you for the $10 super chat. Amit told you recently got my cuz Snoop Doug on the channel. Now we got his brother Tortuga and my other cuz, no nickname Joe from Minnesota. We all love the channel and love you, no homo. You have some very interesting names in your friend group. But thank you for the super chat and thank you for being here. And hopefully all of you guys are enjoying the stream. Appreciate you, bro. Thank you for that. Amit, when do you start trimming your Palantir position at $200 a share? I think that's the wrong question. The question is, when does Palantir give me a reason to start trimming? And I can't find the reason. And if anyone can give me the reason, please let me know. And you can say valuation, but I think we've had that discussion already. It's not valuation. So what's the reason? I mean, did you guys see Karp's AMA yesterday? Like he got to answer my question. And he went on a 15-minute rant on my question. And I kind of thought my question would do that because it was about philosophy. And I know he's a philosophy guy. But I asked him, how does your philosophy background influence how you run Palantir? And he gave one of the best answers I've ever heard in my life. And you hear that answer and you listen to this guy talking and you kind of look at your shares and you're like, I'm just never going to touch these. He has that impact. He has the ability to get you to believe so deeply in his vision and mission. And so, there's no price to trim. It's more so a question of when the company stops executing. But I think for the next decade, they've got a very long runway. When you buy a Cybertruck, dude, I'm not actually buying a Cybertruck. Okay. Jason picked me up in the Cybertruck. It looked really cool. Do I want a Cybertruck? Sure. But I want a lot of things. And that doesn't mean you're going to get them. So I also could not justify paying $85,000 for a car. There's no way I could sleep well at night. Yeah, I paid $45,000 for the Tesla. One of the only reasons I did that is because I got to sell my Civic for 14, so it was really like 29, and I got 0% APR. That's how I'm able to live with the fact that I have almost a $50,000 car. Otherwise, I'm not that type of guy, dude. I can't. That's just. And the Tesla actually makes me happy. Like I love driving that car, so it's worth it. An FSD, I really do think it's worth it. But that's a lot of money, bro. That is way too much money on a car. So I don't think I could ever actually buy the Cybertruck. I mean, I would really have to have FU money to get to that, and I don't have FU money yet. So when we get FU money, now maybe the Cybertruck's going to be old by then, and we'll have a new edition of what the Cybertruck looks like. But yeah, there's going to be no Cybertruck purchase anytime soon. Watch me pull up to a Cybertruck at the meetup. You're like, hey, Amit, we thought you weren't buying a Cybertruck. No, I'm not going to do that. Also, guys, Jason, I don't think he's going to be able to come to the meetup today. He actually ended up getting busy. So Jason might not end up being there today, unfortunately. But for those who are there, excited to see you guys. I'm putting the Telegram group again in the chat for those that can make it. There's about 200 of you that signed up. So whoever can make it, there's going to be more than enough space. Also, I think it's raining today in Berkeley. So the bar that we're at, there's going to be there's going to be like a shade for rain. Like you're going to be able to like we could still be outside even with the rain, but inside the bar is very, very big anyway. So it kind of doesn't matter if it's raining because we'll be able to be inside. There's the link right here in the chat. Diego, thank you for the $20 super chat. Appreciate you, brother. I got into Robinhood because I heard the conviction in your voice. Keep keeping it real. Thank you. I'm sorry. You know me and pronunciation. It's always a struggle every day. Thank you, Diego. Appreciate it. I will try to keeping it real. And congrats on Robinhood. You deserve it, and you took the risk. So thank you for being here. AMD right here at 113, CrowdStrike at 440, NVIDIA very close to 136, just got rejected at 136.50, now at 135.90, Palantir at 117, and then where's Hood? Hood's at 63. 63 right now on the day. Gurjop, thank you for the $100 super chat. Appreciate it. Buy a share of Hims, please, on me. I will buy the share of Hims for you, Gurjop. Thank you for the $100 super chat. And thank you for being here. Also, congrats on Hims. I can tell you're obviously making some money on Hims. So congrats to you and congrats to everyone who's in Hims as well. I'm bringing an umbrella tonight. Yeah, I don't think you're gonna need an umbrella. I think it'll be fine. I think it's gonna be fine without an umbrella because, like, I went to the bar the other day and it's not one of those bars where the rain is gonna actually affect you if you're outside, but still should be good. Amit, do you like the trade desk here? I like the trade desk as a company. I don't know if here is the right question. The fact that it's not getting a single bid is insane to me. This is a quality company. It's down 31% and it hasn't even budged. I mean, the low was 82, now it's at 83, you know? So no one's really buying the dip here, which is kind of concerning to me. I would expect this thing to like gap up to 87, 88, get some buyers in, but no one's buying. So I'm going to do some due diligence on this one. I think it's a premier company, but not sure why the street's punishing it this much. SMCI 40.50, NVIDIA right here, 135.82 here on the day. Where's Hims? 56.44, up 21%. This thing, dude. This thing's the winner today. I mean, it is not stopping. Amit, I just got to the live. Did you talk about Grab? Yeah, so we talked about Grab. It's down today probably because it's naturally getting sold off the pump yesterday. Yesterday, the reason there was a pump was because there was a massive call volume option spike. So, I mean, look, when it pumps on that reason, that's not like sort of a fundamental reason. That's more algorithmically driven. So makes sense that's getting a little bit of a dump. People are taking that as a reason to take profits. I think for Grab, what matters is Q4 earnings. I think this gaps up closer to 550 off of a good Q4 report. We're going to have to see if that happens. But the chart is beautiful. I mean, the chart, I've looked at a couple people on Twitter that do TA. I mean, the chart is absolutely gorgeous. It's very similar to Robinhood's chart from 2 years ago. And now they just needed good earnings. I mean, Robinhood I actually was talking to a Robinhood employee yesterday before I left. And he came up to me and he was like, and he watches the stream and he was just really grateful for all the content. And he's been there since 2020, lived through all the GameStop stuff. And his stock options were at 50 when he joined. So he saw his options go to basically zero, right? When the stock went to $6 and stayed there for almost 2.5 years, which is what's happening to Grab. It went from 20 to 4 and it's kind of stayed there for about 2.5 years. But then eventually the company executed And he said, the reason I stayed at Robinhood and I didn't go to Google and give up on the mission is because like A, Vlad, B, we're actually building shit here. We have a real chance to change the world. So he stayed, and thankfully, the stock came back and he was able to get liquid. But I think the same thing was Grab, right? Like, I think there's a lot of employees in Grab that are probably pissed off that their stock options are in the gutter. And now the company is hitting its inflection point. And once that inflection point becomes apparent to the world, that's when the market realizes it. And that's when we hopefully see some momentum on it. So earnings on the 19th, next Wednesday, I'll be live at 7 p.m. for the earnings. We'll see what they have to show. Palantir right here at 118, back to 118, holding on strong. And then Tesla 357, holding on very strong as well, up 6% on the day. Tempest, I don't know what the hell's going on with Tempest. At this point, I just think it's retail chasing it because Nancy got in, up 15%. I mean, maybe there's institutions chasing it as well, but if Nancy Pelosi did not disclose that she bought this name, I don't think it would be up 90% year to date. Like, it's happening. It's happening, and it's happening likely because of Nancy. Is there a new NHS video with Palantir? Did they tweet about it? Let's see. Did they tweet about it? Yeah, they did. They did. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it. One sec. Let's see. Okay. I'll pull it up in a second. I think I have it, but I just got to pull up the exact video to get it. Grail is going up too. It's not just Tempest. Grail? I never heard of that one. Grail. Yeah, that's up 20%. Okay, so AI healthcare is basically catching a bid. Speaking of the NHS, right? AI healthcare is catching a bid. Yeah, all right. Well, maybe Nancy got the world to start thinking about AI healthcare, and now the street's thinking a bit more seriously. And there you go. That's why AI healthcare is getting some love. Never seen you talk about cruises. What's your thoughts on Royal Caribbean? So I don't talk about cruises, but a good friend of the channel, Chris, does. And he's bullish. He's really bullish on them. I don't know why they've kind of been weak the past couple of weeks because they had really good earnings. So I'm not sure why the cruise lines took a little bit of a dip, but yeah, I mean, Chris is pretty bullish long-term the next couple of years on demand for cruises, and Carnival had one of their best quarters ever, profitable, plenty of demand. And so I don't have a position in them, but I don't think they're going to do too bad. Kathy Wood was first to Tempest. That's correct. Oh, by the way, Kathy, I think Kathy is dumping her Palantir. I think she is, folks. I mean, this is my assumption. Why am I saying this? Because she's been selling almost 200,000 shares a day of Palantir. And when she tends to start selling in the hundreds of thousands every day, it means she's starting to get rid of a significant amount of the position. So yesterday she sold 175,000, rough estimate. She in a bunch of different funds. She also sold 54,000 of SoFi, and she sold 25,000 of Hood. So SoFi she sold like 200,000 the other day. So she's definitely taking profits on SoFi. And then Palantir, I think she's taking some profits here as well. I don't have an issue with her selling. My question is just where is she reallocating that capital, right? Like, if she's an ETF, right? She has to sell, she has to capture profits, all that stuff. But my question is, where is she putting it? And I don't know. I mean, like, I wonder where else is the money going. I mean, she's buying AMD, so kind of swapping Palantir for AMD. She's also buying Amazon, swapping Palantir for Amazon. She bought Qualcomm, so she's loading up on the semis. And she also sold Oklo yesterday, 54,000 shares. And then she's buying a ton of genomic stuff. So it's kind of like semis, a little bit of big tech with Amazon, and then a bunch of genomics. And the genomics thesis hasn't really played out, but she's very convicted on that. And, maybe that ends up happening. NVIDIA right here at 136 here right now. And again, the reason I'm saying that about Kathy is because I remember back in 2022 on Palantir, when she started selling a couple 100,000 shares a day, she was out of the position in a month. And she did the same with Zoom. She was selling a couple 100,000 shares a day. She was out of position in about a month. She did the same with Spotify, even though she kept a little bit of Spotify, but she got rid of the majority of it. So I've seen the process of ARK liquidating a position, and it usually resonates with a couple 100,000 shares every day for multiple days, and then the position ends up getting sold. Now maybe that doesn't happen with Palantir, and I kind of doubt it too, because she
Like, she likes Palantir. She talks about Palantir, and she really has an affinity towards the company. And she did get in early at $12, even after she sold at $6 and then got back in at 12. So maybe this is just her taking some healthy profits. But we got to see if this continues or not, and if she continues to be in the name. She also sold a ton of Archer. I think she sold a couple million shares of Archer over the past couple months. Okay, cool. So let's go and see what else is happening on the street. We did have PPI data today. Again, the street doesn't really care about that. Markets relatively moving on. Pete Hegseth is talking at NATO right now, new defense secretary. We got a Tesla update. Let's listen to someone talking about Tesla and see what they have to say. He's probably going to mention all the Elon Trump stuff and what it means. So let's get some coverage there.
Support Black Heritage Month when you join the
as opposed to leave part of them behind. Because if you leave part of them behind, it's easy. It's kind of like if they're leaving a weed. If you don't remove the roots of the weed, then it's easy for the weed to grow back. But if you remove the roots of the weed, it doesn't stop weeds from ever growing back, but it makes it harder.
Elon Musk speaking virtually overnight at a conference in Dubai, calling for entire government agencies to be scrapped, deleted. His comments coming as a federal judge allows the Trump administration to carry out its federal worker buyout program. However, investors are questioning just how much of a distraction Doge is for Musk, with shares of Tesla down 5 of the past 6 trading days and down 16% so far this year. Joining us is Tim Higgins, who wrote the book and comments on Musk, has been studying him for a long time. I'm glad to talk to you, Tim, because I feel like there's some misunderstanding or a lot of noise around what the motivations are for Elon Musk here when it comes to Doge. Can you clear it up from your perspective as to what's going on?
Yeah, he's been, I think, for the last few months, pretty clear what his perspective and what his ambitions are, and that is to cut government spending, but I think more importantly, cut government regulations. He has for years talked about how there are too many regulations holding businesses back, in particular his companies at SpaceX and Tesla. He has seen that up close and personal. When you look at SpaceX in particular, he wants to get to Mars. He wants to get out into outer space a lot. He's been running into hurdles that he says are unnecessary, such with the EPA and other agencies. And now he has that opportunity to get in there and make things run quicker in his mind.
The Democrats say he's conflicted. He's going through his own contracts. He's violating our privacy. He has unrestricted power. Do you buy any of that?
Well, it's, I guess, not surprising given that they are on the other side of the aisle, but they do raise some legitimate concerns here. It is a potentially conflict of interest if he is in there in these government agencies that have potential to regulate him. That's the sort of thing you don't necessarily see or want to see in government, but it's a unique situation. When President Trump has been asked about conflicts of interest with Elon, he says Musk will kind of police himself and that he's watching over him. So yeah, definitely concerns from people who study good government and have worries about overreach and business in government.
Yeah, I mean, but the counter argument is that, the government hires consultants all the time, like a McKinsey, and they pay them a lot of money to come in, which is also something. And Elon's not getting paid for this, right?
Right. And I think you're hearing his supporters say, hey, he's the world's richest man. He's not doing this for money. He's doing this to help the taxpayer. That's kind of the back and forth on these arguments. But what is really unique here is that he's not the first CEO, the first businessman in the world or the history of the U.S. who wanted to be involved in government in some way. And we've seen it in the past. But what he has done, at least in these early weeks, has shown an effectiveness to get himself deep within the trenches in a way that we haven't really seen before. And that gets at the kind of close relationship he has with the president and that his willingness to be out front fighting these dragons.
Is there any indication that his focus right now, which seems to be primarily on Doge and Washington, comes at the expense of Tesla? Or is there leadership in place that it doesn't matter and they shouldn't skip a beat?
I mean, the one thing that Elon Musk seems to not be working on right now is creating more hours in the day, and that's probably what he should be working on, right? But it goes back. I mean, the criticism that he's too distracted, that he's too overwhelmed, has gone back for many, many years. At this point, Tesla investors know what they're getting. But I will say that when he took over Twitter in late 2022, this was a concern. The company, Tesla, the automaker, was at kind of an inflection point. There was starting to be some signs about the way the electric car market was going and where the Tesla was positioned. And it would seem as if Tesla is now at the point where it doesn't have the kind of new product that it needs to excite the market, right? There is promises of some cheaper vehicles later this year, but the big issue is that if you look at its lineup, it's pretty old. And that's always a tough place to be if you are a car maker. New sheet metal sells, old sheet metal sticks around. And that is an issue if you're a Tesla investor. That said, Tesla investors are really betting that sheet metal isn't the future. It's software, that these vehicles are going to be autonomous taxis, that driverless cars are on the precipice of happening. And that is where they're putting their money with Musk. And they're hoping that his relationship with Trump will help kind of usher in that new era.
The other big story, it's actually in the Journal this morning, Tim, is about Merz of Germany, who's the front runner in their upcoming elections, who says that Musk will face consequences, in his words, for meddling in German politics. And of course, Germany, the home of their one huge European factory. What kind of price might he pay for that?
Well, you could see the price being consumers being turned off by the brand. That's been a concern, especially in Europe, where sales have struggled. We've seen here in the U.S. Democrats being turned off by the brand at certain points when Musk has been especially vocal on some of his more contentious views. You also have just the idea that governments around the world are wary of some of the way he's using his bully pulpit of X and getting involved in external politics, whether it's in the UK, EU, Germany. These are things that make people nervous and definitely, create some unhappy will, if you will.
Yeah, we are seeing that play out. By the way, Tesla having a nice comeback day, 5.5% higher. Tim, thank you for your insight.
I think the story on Tesla is either you believe in the robots or you don't, or in FSD. That's it. And I think there's going to be a lot of volatility. There's probably still more volatility coming up. But there was a report last night that Elon's going to be spending the next 5 months inside of the government. He's like getting an office, and there was a picture of him sleeping on the floor at the White House. Like he's picking his country right now over Tesla, in my opinion. That doesn't mean that Tesla has to tank, but it means that his priority is not just Tesla. It's the country. And I think, again, we talked about this yesterday, and Chris brought up a good point. If you don't have a country, there is no Tesla. If we're $100 trillion in debt, which is where the path we're on, there is no FSD or robotics. Like none of that exists. We're dead. So I think he's making a strategic decision. Genuinely, is my belief that he's actually trying to save some of the country in regards to all this deficit spending that we have. Now, will that benefit Tesla long term? Yes, and that probably is the sort of selfish desire he has there. But nonetheless, he is absolutely doing a trade-off with the Doge work and Tesla. I just don't think that means that Tesla has to tank, because I think Tesla at this point is a machine, and it's not an early startup. At this point, they need to scale robotics, scale FSD. We know they're going to get there. It'll take some time, but they're on the pathway to get there. I don't think he needs to be in the office literally every day to make that happen. But regardless, that's the decision that he's making right now. And you either hate that and you sell Tesla and say, screw it, I want my CEO to be committed to my company and my company only, or you believe in his vision and believe it'll work out and you invest based off that. But I think it's one or the other. Okay, so Tim Cook just announced, get ready to meet the newest member of the family, Wednesday, February 19th. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? The newest member of the family. Huh. Is this a new product? Or is this Elon retweeted it? Wait, Elon retweeted Tim Cook? No way. Elon retweeted Tim Cook? Hold on. Oh shit, he did. Wait, is Elon retweeting it just to be nice? Just because he's happy that Apple's advertising on X now? Maybe he's maybe Tim Cook texted him and said, hey, we're spending a lot of money on your platform. Can you give me a retweet here? The newest member of the family, dude. Elon retweets it. Huh. Yeah, it could mean that, right? It could just mean that he just wants to retweet him because he's happy that that they're spending advertising dollars on the platform. And I mean, why not, right? Why wouldn't you encourage the company to keep spending money by giving them more distribution organically by retweeting their posts? So to me, it could be as simple as that. But newest member of the family sounds like a new product to me. But what new product is Apple going to announce? Yo, does Apple have February events? It's usually September, July, and October. No. October, July. Yeah, that's it. It's WWDC and then the October event. There's usually not more than that per year, right? There's never a February event for Apple. When has there been a February event? They're going to put an AirTag in every car. There's not going to be an EV. June is developer, September's iPhone. Correct. There's never a February event. Huh. Yo, if they say the newest member of the family is like a updated version of the iPad, I think that would be a big disappointment. And I think Tim Cook knows better than that. I mean, dude, people would be annoyed if the newest member of the family is like iPad 17 or whatever. Like no one like it's not going to be robots. They have not built out robots yet. I doubt they even have a prototype. Honestly, my guess is it's going to be the next version of Vision Pro. I mean, like we have seen they're working on the next edition of it, even if the first one wasn't the best. It's not a robot to me, dude. It's not a robot. It's absolutely not a robot. It's not a robot. It's not a new iPad. Grok collaboration with Tim Cook or with Apple. Yeah, but if the newest member of the family is a new large language model that you can put on your iPhone, that's not a big announcement. That's a little bit, that's stupid, dude. Like there's no, you can't hype up, oh, now instead of using GPT or Gemini, you can use Grok. Like that's not an announcement, dude. There's got to be something bigger. It's got to be something much bigger that none of us are thinking of yet. Starlink collaborating with the iPhone. Yeah, but is that a new member to the family? I don't think it's going to be the Apple car. Even though it'd be kind of crazy, dude, if everyone thought they gave up on the car and then they come out with a car or something. iPhone SE. But they already have the iPhone. It wouldn't be an iPhone. Oh, this one could, the home AI assistant. That actually could be a thing. That actually could be a thing. An updated version of their Siri home assistant. Keyword family. Yeah, they said family. It sounds like a new product to me. Sounds like a brand new product. All right, we'll try to get some coverage on that. Let's get to NVIDIA, but I'll try to see if I can get some updates on that as well.
Whether it's on immigration, whether it's on trade, whatever it is, the market is less worried about it than, say, other days where we are anticipating tariffs or have been before. They're trying to get used to what this is all going to look like.
Yeah, it's easy to declare victory if you never say what you're after in the first place.
Yeah, preserve leverage. Yeah.
Meantime, shares of NVIDIA and HPE are worth watching. NVIDIA is popping on news that HPE has shipped its first Grace Blackwell system. The company says the system is designed to help service providers and large enterprises quickly deploy very large, complex AI clusters with advanced direct liquid cooling solutions. Sarah, we've talked with Antonio about that before and what kind of technology that involves.
Absolutely. I mean, he's also busy. They're trying to fight this acquisition, right?
Yes.
That they're trying to make as well. They're trying to fight the federal
Juniper.
authorities.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're trying to buy Juniper, and so that's going to be another key test.
For sure. Turning to another part of the Mag 7, Alibaba Chairman Joe Tsai speaking overnight at a summit in Dubai, confirming reports that Alibaba is partnering with Apple to roll out an AI for iPhones sold in China. Those stocks both jumped on the report this week. Tsai said Alibaba would offer Apple a local partner to help navigate the regulatory environment and localize its AI. You see Apple up.
Dude, imagine if the announcement is Alibaba's model into the iPhone. What if he's like the newest member of the family is Alibaba's LLM we're incorporating into the iPhone? That would be horrible, dude. That would be just horrible news. But that's probably not it. But that would be funny if it was.
4.5% week to date. It's up just about 40 basis points or so today and has had a decent bounce. So it does remain about 8.5% below its high. So again, a lot of this churning around the Mag 7. Time now for a news update.
What if the CCP was like, hey, this is communism. We're a family. So you have to introduce your new large language model as a member of the family. And what if Tim Cook was like, hey, that's stupid. And then what if Xi Jinping was like, hey, I could cut your fucking head off. And then Tim Cook was like, you know what? It's not that stupid anymore. And now maybe that's the announcement. Maybe it's the Alibaba LLM into the CCP iPhone. It's crazy. It's so crazy. Is Hood dumping? Can I finally buy some Hood today? Am I getting a little bit of a dip? Where's Hoodie? 62. All right, folks. I'm buying some Hood. Buying 50 shares here right now. All right, there you go. 50 shares, 62.04 is what I got on Hood. We're in. We bought in the 60s. Okay, hold on. Let me update my adjusted cost basis because I just closed one of my puts. So let me update my personal sheet. I'm going to tell you guys my adjusted cost basis on Hood right now. Again, adjusted cost basis is the cost basis you have after you factor in all the premiums you can collect from selling options. So give me 1 second. This is the $50 put. We closed them today. Today's what, 2/13? Dude, tomorrow's Valentine's Day. Does anyone have plans for Valentine's Day? Does anyone have plans for the day of the Valentines? 17 times 13 is 221. Okay, so then the total premium collected is this, which means total premium over is 23,000. Is that correct? I think that's correct. Yes. Okay, my adjusted cost basis on it is $23.43. $23.43. There you go. So, and now this the reason I'm doing that is easier to buy at 62, which is crazy, right? Because it just ran up like crazy. But it's easier for me to buy when I know my adjusted cost base. Well, actually, hold on. I have to factor in those shares that I just bought. Hold on. No, my adjusted cost basis has to be higher because I just bought shares. So let me 1 second. I also didn't factor in the 100 shares I bought last week. So my actual adjusted cost basis is it is 25.45. All right. So it's easier to buy when you know that that your adjusted cost basis is well below your actual cost basis, because then as your adjusted cost basis increases, you can kind of use that as a proxy to determine how much money you're actually making from the stock. So yeah, 25.45. That's the adjusted cost basis. All right, we got dinner with the wife, falling asleep on the couch with the wife. Dude, for all my gentlemen in the chat, are you stepping your game up? Are you doing something good? Are you like, you guys want me to tell you my Valentine's story? I have a Valentine's story. I got one. I got a Valentine. It's from a couple years ago, but I outdid myself on that Valentine's Day. Even though it was like what? It was like 5-6 years back. I think it's important to have those surprises in a relationship, spice it up, kind of, show that you really care about them and appreciate them and stuff. And I've always enjoyed that. Okay, so here's my story. So I you guys know when I was in college, I was dating a girl who went to Stanford. I was in Rutgers. We met in high school. Ended up dating for about 3 years. And so she was in Stanford. I was in the States, or I was in Jersey. And I was coming to California anyway for the same reason I came here, which was Berkeley. So again, Berkeley has a debate tournament every year. I've been coaching debate for like 10 years. So I come to Berkeley pretty much every year. I haven't been since 2018 because of the pandemic, all that stuff. But back then I came pretty much every single year. This is why I know California. At least I know the Bay Area, I think, very well. Like I've been here many, many times. So I should have known how cold it is. But I had to come anyway for the debate tournament. I came 3 days earlier, and the goal was to surprise her. The goal was to walk into her dorm room at Stanford and have her just be like, holy shit, you're here. So I hit up her roommate, And I was just like, yo, do you think we can make this happen? And for a week, we started planning it, tried to figure out when she was not going to be in class, yada, yada. And then ultimately we planned it. They picked me up from the airport. And then it was so funny, dude. I'll never forget it. I walked in. She's just like literally like just doing her homework or whatever. And I tap her on the shoulder and she turns around and she just starts crying. It's like pure like Niagara Falls. You know what I'm talking about? And then later at night, we also had some other Niagara Falls in a different way, if you know what I'm talking about. But anyway, so it was just pure crying, you know, and it was awesome, dude. It was fun. It was, she was crying out of joy. She wasn't crying because she was sad. she was crying. She hated, dude, you guys find a way to twist everything. She hated seeing you. No, she was happy. It was freaking happy tears. Goodness gracious. She didn't expect to do, and she knew that my phone was off for 6 hours because the flight is 6 hours, right? So she was like, and you know, when you're long distance, you don't go 6 hours without sending a text or anything. So I told her I had a calculus exam. Now, I don't know what calculus exam takes 6 hours, but I told her that. And then also when I was on the flight, I paid for the Wi-Fi so that like we used to talk on Facebook at the time. So she would like see, you know, on Facebook you can say when you were last active, like 20 minutes ago, 5 minutes ago, whatever. So I constantly was like on Facebook to like show her I was active because, you know, it's kind of easy to say if you're not active for 6 hours, someone can assume something's happening. So she knew I was active, but she knew I wasn't messaging her. And then I pulled up and it was fun. It was super fun. So that was my Valentine's story. It was good. And then Amit woke up from his dream. I hate you guys, bro. I hate you guys. This is why when I get a girlfriend, bro, she's never coming on stream. You guys are fucking crazy. You guys are insane. It's not that I wouldn't want her to be on stream, but also it's like, dude, being on the internet is, you have to have a different skin to be able to handle that. So I don't know, maybe one day, maybe if it gets really serious, she'll come on stream one day. But no, that was my story. That was 2018. That was a fun story. I remember it like it was yesterday. And I was really proud of myself, dude. That was a good boyfriend moment. That was a good surprise. Like when you can surprise someone like that and they start crying with tears of joy, not tears of pain. You know, then you let's just say you get to have fun that night, you know, and then we see other sources of water that are not just from the eyes. Anyway, dude, I hate you guys. I hate you so much. No one even believes this story. Why am I telling these stories if no one believes it? If no one believes it, why should I tell these stories? There's no reason to even tell it. There's no reason to even tell my stories from the past. Hopefully one day you guys will believe me. Okay, so hold on. Where is this update we were supposed to show? We did in video, right? Okay, yeah, here's the news update. This is what I want to show. All right, we'll pull this up. No one believed me. I hate you guys. Was she still crying in the bed? Oh my gosh. You guys are horrible. Okay, hold on. Let's get this news update, and then I'm going to try to get some more Apple news, and then we'll keep going from there.
Okay, let's get to Contessa Brewer. Contessa, good morning.
Hey there, Mike. German authorities say nearly 30 people were hurt when a car plowed into a crowd in Munich the day before a major security conference. Vice President J.D. Vance is among the major world leaders attending that conference. Police suspect this was intentional. They say they're investigating for a motive, and they say the suspect is an asylum seeker from Afghanistan and was known to authorities for previous unrelated drug and theft incidents. The ceasefire between Israel and Hamas appears intact for now. The two sides agreed to resolve a dispute over a lack of aid entering Gaza that could have derailed that fragile arrangement. Hamas says it will release hostages as planned this weekend after getting guarantees that caravans and medical equipment will be allowed into the enclave today. Former World Wrestling Entertainment executive Linda McMahon is on Capitol Hill today. She's appearing before a Senate committee for her confirmation hearing to become the next Education Secretary.
Wow. Linda McMahon for Education Secretary. Holy crap. That is from WWE to Secretary of Education. I don't even know if we're going to have a Department of Education since Trump wants to get rid of that. So those were a couple of the other updates. There's some other updates I was looking at today in regards to tariffs. Now, the thing is, Trump already got rid of the main tariff updates, so we don't need to worry about them because you already said there are not going to be any tariffs. But I'm going to try to pull up a couple of other headlines right here. The story Amit just shared did not happen so much. It unhappened some things that actually happened. I hate you guys so much, bro. I hate you guys so much. Someone said Amit and his girlfriend were at a 24-hour water park. Again, I hate you guys so much. I hate you guys so much. Okay, here's what I was looking for. So this was Elon at the Dubai conference yesterday talking. I want to play this clip right here, and then we'll get into some of the other news stories as well. We'll talk about Coinbase. We'll talk about earnings as well with Coinbase. Also, we'll watch the Vlad interview I did yesterday. So we'll watch that for those that didn't get to see it. But here's Elon yesterday at Dubai.
Is improving the technology that the government runs on. So the U.S. government runs on a collection of thousands of computers, many of them antiquated, running very old software, and the computers don't talk to each other. So that's why tech support is kind of a real thing. In order to make the government more efficient, you have to improve the technology. You may have read about the example I used recently with when President Trump was signing one of the Doge executive orders of the difficulty of U.S. government workers retiring. Like the maximum retirement rate is $10,000 a month, and the reason for that is because the retirement is entirely paperwork right now. It's manually calculated paperwork that's put in an envelope and then taken down a mine shaft and stored in a mine. And then one of the things that affects the rate at which federal workers can retire is the speed of the elevator in a mine in Pennsylvania, which is bizarre because it should be digital, So then when we said, well, why isn't it digital? They said, well, we have had a digitization program going since 2014. So it's been 11 years. So then we asked, well, so how much progress have you made? And they said, B. You mean you're giving yourself a grade of B? No, we're on the letter B. So we're like, okay, we're going to need to really provide some tech support here. Otherwise, literally, people can't even retire, even if they want to. It's pretty bad.
All right, so that was Elon yesterday night. Yeah, someone said, when does he sleep? I have no idea when this guy sleeps. I mean, this is kind of insane. But talking to Dubai about what he's doing with Doge, it seems like he's trying to get the message out across the world. NVIDIA right here, 135.8, SMCI 41.3, SoFi 15, Hood 62.34, Palantir 117, kind of holding their spot. Grab is getting hit today, 3.4, so kind of losing some of the momentum it had yesterday. Trade Desk still not catching a bid. And then Apple gapping up, 240.8. 240.8 on Apple. I think the reason Elon's talking to a lot of these places across the world as well is because he's trying to get the rest of the world to be on his side when it comes to the argument he's making about government efficiency. Now, granted, the only reason he has the way to do this is because Trump's giving him the access, and it's like it's because Trump won, he has the ability to do it. But a lot of these other countries that he's talking to would never have a Doge outside agency audit their government. They're not that open. So uniquely in America, it's the only place where you can do this. But America is also the biggest economy in the world, and if we end up in hundreds of trillions of dollars of debt, we're not going to continue to be the biggest economy. So I think it's ironic that in America is the only place where you could have something like Doge, but also you kind of need something like Doge theoretically to cut all the spend, and that's kind of what Elon's going for here right now. Let's talk about earnings tomorrow. Yeah, JP Morgan maintained Hood at neutral. JP Morgan doesn't really understand the story, dude. They've just been off so much for the story. They've never got the story on Hood. That's okay. Most of the other analysts do. They're one of the only, them and KBW, they never got it. And that's why they've been kind of just wrong on it. But I think they raised it to 60 from 40. So their price target is up. Twilio right here. So we have earnings today. Twilio, Coinbase, Airbnb, and DraftKings. So I'm going to make a poll in the chat. And I want to see what you guys think about which one's going to perform or outperform. I will be live for the market close at 12:45 my time, 3:45 Eastern. And here are the main companies. So we have Airbnb, Palo Alto Networks, Coinbase, and DraftKings. And that'll be the poll. Which one do you guys think outperforms? Which one outperforms? So Palo Alto, Coin, DraftKings, or Airbnb. You know the one I can tell you is probably not going to outperform. I think you guys already know, but I think Airbnb is getting hit. I think Airbnb is getting. I mean, it's not going to get hit, but it's not going to moon the way the way some of these other stocks can. I think Coinbase can moon. The problem with Coinbase is they're so tied to Bitcoin that a lot of their movement happens when Bitcoin runs because everyone knows their trading volumes go up. So it's not like something is not priced in, you know, like they have to really show something that the street wasn't expecting. So although I think Coinbase will do well, I don't know if it's going to go crazy well. I mean, it's already up 6% today, right? Because Bitcoin's getting some love. So I think Coinbase could be flat or up. I don't expect Coinbase to be down massively unless their stock-based comp gets too high. DraftKings, I think hopefully this is an inflection point for them. I mean, they've been kind of flat for a while. I think they can get some momentum. Airbnb is just, the street does not like this story at all. So Airbnb has been flat, down 1%. And then Roku, I don't know. Roku's been getting a little bit of love over the past couple of weeks. Maybe Roku breaks out. And after that, there's Palo Alto Networks, which I actually think could pump really nicely. Pumping. So that could be. Won't Hood and other new platforms diminish coin prospects? What else does coin do? They seem one-dimensional. Coin is absolutely one-dimensional. All they do is crypto trading. They have I mean, like it's a good subscription business, but it's not like that's massively diversifying them. The thing is, although Hood probably took away some crypto volumes from Hood or from Coinbase, Coinbase is still a really big company and they're international, right? So Hood did 70 billion of crypto trading volumes last quarter. I think Coinbase probably did the same or a little bit more. But if Coinbase didn't do that much more, then yeah, Coinbase is not gonna get that much of a revenue differential from Hood. Now Coinbase did buy, they do have a higher take rate than Hood. So they get like 1.7% per transaction. Hood gets 0.5, which is even more impressive that Hood put up these numbers because they take less than half of what Coinbase takes. Why people hate trading on Coinbase because it's so expensive. But the numbers today are going to have to kind of prove if Coinbase really had more volumes. Tesla right here getting a little bit of a dip from 357 to 352, still up 5% of the day. SMCI rebounding up 5%. NVIDIA could not break 137. It did hit 136.19. Archer giving up some of the pump. I think everything's giving up a little bit of the pump. Google's basically flat. Rocket Labs down 1.5. Intel's up 8% again. Intel's up almost 20% for the week. So, I mean, Intel's been having Intel 18 in February 3rd, now 24. So that's a nice move. And then Palantir as well, dipping just below 118 at 117. Mic sucks. Okay, how about now? Is the mic better? Sure. I think the mic should be. Is the mic better? Better. Much better. Dude, I don't know why every day. I think that's the stream basically saying it's time to. I think every time. We're almost 3 hours into this. I think the street's like, it's time. Not the street. Look at me, the street. The stream is saying it's time to go. It's shitty again. Dude, this is a $500 mic. This is ridiculous. Can you guys hear me now? Is it still bad? It's still bad? This is ridiculous. Yeah, it should be better. Can you guys hear me now? Is it still bad? It should be better. It should be way better. By the way, RFK just got confirmed. Thank you for that, Gene. Boom. RFK is confirmed. Should be good now, right? Should be good? Okay, cool. Yeah, it's probably StreamYard as well, dude. It's probably freaking StreamYard. I don't know why after 2 hours and 40 minutes they decide to nuke the mic. That's the issue. All right, so RFK just got in. Let's see if we can get an update on that. That is actually pretty big news. A lot of people were worried that he wasn't going to get confirmed. Looks like he's in. Looks like RFK will be the new Secretary of Health and Human Services. Yeah, that's happening. Yeah, that is indeed happening. Yep, there you go. That's official. That is official here right now. All right, there you go. I wonder if Trump tweeted about it. He might have tweeted about it, but there. So he's confirmed. Pete Hegseth. Oh, what's her name? The Tulsi Gabbard. She got confirmed yesterday as well. So all the people that Trump wanted are officially in. Kirby, $10 super chat. I read this morning that TSM might partner with Intel. Well, that could be pumping it as well. It would be crazy if TSM buys Intel. I don't think that would happen, especially because they're a Taiwanese company, but that would be wild. Tesla right here. Temp is still up 15%. Apple's up 1.4. Archer's up 3. NVIDIA's up 3.2. Robin at 62.34, and Tesla at 351 here right now. Apple CEO Tim Cook just confirmed he'll be launching a new product, which is rumored to be a new version of the cheaper iPhone SE on Wednesday, February 19th. Dude, if it's a cheaper version of the iPhone SE, that's going to be pretty boring. If it actually is just an iPhone SE, that's going to be boring. I hope not. But that would be pretty boring. All right, guys. I think we ended. We'll finish with the Vlad interview that I did yesterday for those that didn't get to see it, and I think we'll end it there. I probably need to get some sleep, dude. You guys can hear it in my voice. Like, I haven't got sick since I had. Now that I say this, I'm probably gonna get sick. I haven't got sick since I had COVID in August of 2022. Like, I've been good for almost 2 years, so I want to make sure I stay good. So I'm going to get out of here. I'll be back on the close. Here's the Vlad interview from last night. It's about 7 minutes. So if anyone wants to stay and watch it, you can watch it. And then I'll be back on the close. And that's it. All right, here we go. Here is the interview, and then we'll be done for today. All right. Hello, everybody. All right. Vlad Tenev. All right. Hello, everybody. I'm here at the Robinhood offices in the Bay Area with CEO and co-founder of the company, Vlad Tenev. We just finished their Q4 earnings. Congrats on incredible earnings.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I think it was informative. It was obviously a good quarter, which we're proud of. But I'm also proud of like the earnings call itself. I think that we've always kind of stood for more participation by retail analysts such as yourself being kind of on a level playing field with institutional. So I thought it was informative, but also hopefully fun too.
Yeah, so that was going to be my first question. What was the impetus to invite retail analysts on the call? And do you think that is a trend that more companies are going to embrace in the future?
Well, the first idea that we had was to make it video. We've been talking about that for a long time. And you know, I was watching the replay of what an experience for a retail shareholder listening to the earnings call would be. And in the last quarter, you know, you have to kind of like go through this website, you have to dial in, or you could go to guys such as yourselves who are live streaming it, right, where you just have this blank screen with the Robinhood logo. You know, it was the old logo before we updated it. And it was just a little dry. It was a little boring. So we thought we would amp it up a little bit and make it more interesting. Because, you know, the last thing we want is people to get bored at our earnings calls and not listen to them.
Right.
Or feel like listening to them is this chore that they have to do. So I think we started with that idea. We wanted to do video. We thought about live audience, but I think it was a little bit early for that. But you know, once you have video, then you have to figure out how are people dialing in. You want people to ask questions, and then I think everyone kind of realized that Investor Day worked so well with the combination of institutional and retail analysts that we tried to kind of bring back some of that energy in the earnings call. Like, there's no reason why we shouldn't have it. I think that as much as you guys are asking smart questions, the institutional investors ask smart questions too. Why do we have to make it complicated and have multiple queues and handle it differently?
Yeah, I thought it was a no-brainer. It was exciting. We had 5,000 people watching live, and they were excited watching you and Jason act as if you were star NBA players that just crushed Game 7. So it was really cool. What is the culture like at Robinhood? Why do people like working for you?
I'm not sure. Yeah, I mean, I guess you'd have to ask them, but I can tell you what we look for in people. We look for people that are driven, that they want to have an impact and be rewarded disproportionately based on their impact and not based on seniority or how big of an org they manage. I think a lot of companies, when they recruit talent, they look for things like, oh, I want someone that's managed a big team so that they can handle the scope that this job is going to expect of them. So you'll see that in the recruiting processes. You kind of look for scope and headcount as a proxy to that. I think we instead look for who are people that have actually achieved a lot with as few people as possible.
Right.
And I think just that simple thing is a big differentiator. If you maximize for scope, you do tend to get people that like building big teams, and big teams I think are much less efficient than small, nimble teams of people that can move incredibly fast. So we try to align incentives from how we recruit to how we performance manage and compensate. And it's not perfect, but I think we made some improvements, and we have a great culture. I think that everyone here just really wants to win. So I think we have the team to drive significant impact.
So speaking of winning, last question for you, Vlad. This was one of those quarters that, to me, it's kind of an inflection point in the business. $1 billion in revenue. I mean, it's quite substantial. I think it's growing up and becoming a very mature company. Is Robinhood a generational company to you?
Well, I hope not. If by generational you mean that we're only relevant to millennials.
Right.
I think one of the things we feel very strongly about is we don't want to get stuck into just doing the things that worked for millennials. People change, priorities change, the way people are engaging with finance is changing. I mean, you look at Gen Z, they're kind of deviating from millennials in a lot of ways. You're a Gen Zer yourself. You probably look at us millennials like ancient, like we were around before flat screen computer monitors, right?
You actually have DVDs,
I had VHS.
Yeah, there you go.
Laserdisc. I had a Laserdisc player. So yeah, I think it's dangerous to get stuck in what worked with one generation. I think the discount brokers, the incumbents, are kind of playing defense there. Everyone sees that this is a huge opportunity. I think we have to continue to reinvent ourselves and make sure that we're relevant to every generation. That's a big focus. I think the best way to do that is to make sure we lean into our strengths, which is technology and design, and continuing to talk to customers rather than like thinking about what products we want and only building those.
Right. Vlad, thanks for taking the time to do this. So at the end of a really good basketball game, the MVP tends to get the game ball. And I wanted to give you something. So on my market open and market close and live streams, I ring a bell.
Oh, nice.
Major milestones. And today, we had to ring this bell many, many times to celebrate Robinhood's accomplishments. So I wanted to give it to you.
Oh, well, thank you.
A bell for you. And hopefully this is the bell you keep for the quarter that you guys got to $1 billion in revenue for the first time.
I love it. Yeah.
It would be a bigger cowbell, but I left that at home, so I've been using small ones. So
this is good. It's an appropriate. We got to stay humble. Can't get too complacent. Got to get to 10 billion if I want the big bell, right? Yeah, I love it. Well, thank you. And there's hopefully I see Q out there. Q's the real MVP. I mean, the brokerage business and crypto as well drove a lot this quarter. So I'm sure they'd love to see you too.
Robinhood CEO and co-founder, the man, the myth, the legend, Vlad Interview. Thanks for doing this, Vlad.
Thanks, man.
That was cool, dude. That was super cool. If anyone comes to the meetup today, you're gonna get a little bell as well. So for those that show up, you will have your own bell. But that was super cool. That was fun. It was really cool too. I walked in and he gave me a hug. It wasn't even like a, I reached out for a handshake and he gave me a hug. So I think the culture I think they're huggers, bro. Because Beju, who's his co-founder that I met on Monday, as soon as I saw him, I went to give him a handshake and he gave me a hug as well. As like a big hug. I was like, oh, it wasn't even just like one of those guy hugs where you you put your arm. It's like, no, like a real hug. And I'm like, oh, these guys are huggers. Like this culture is like a hugging culture. It's like I could. It was the same exact hug that Beju gave. It was one of those monster hugs. And I'm like, oh, wow. So these guys, they probably grew up, 10 years building this company with a lot of love and just like passion and energy. And I think they lead the company with that passion and energy. And that's why there's only 2,200 employees doing $3 billion in revenue. I mean, to get that, you got to have tough love and really get the best out of your people. But you also have to have a lot of passion for people to get them to care. Essentially hippies. Yeah. I mean, they are born and raised in California. Actually, no, Vlad went to high school in Virginia, but he went to Stanford for like 6-7 years. So he probably became a hippie during that time. Plus, they're all on a winning spree, good vibes all around. Yeah. Yeah, dude, Vlad was really happy. He was really, really happy. I mean, he was like, you could tell he just, he knew this quarter was that quarter, and he was very happy that they're actually putting up these results. And again, the earnings call with retail on it, I mean, I think they executed it really well, and the market's rewarding them now as they're doing what they're doing. All right, that's it for me. I will see you guys on the market close. I'm going to get some sleep. I'm sorry, certain parts of the stream today, too many sneezes or colds. Again, we haven't had a stream where I was sneezing or I was like blowing my nose or anything in like 2 years. So this is really a first for a while. So I'm going to get some sleep. I'll get ready for the market close in a couple hours, and then we will have the meetup later today. So I'll see everyone who's there at around 4 p.m. Later today. All right. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. We'll see you guys on the close. We got a lot of earnings to discuss. And yeah, congrats on Hood, everyone. You guys deserve it. If you've been in the story, you've been in the story. And I think the story continues well into the future. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. See you guys later today. Bye, everyone.